and let's go live. Let's do it. Hello everybody, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, and today we are back with Imperator, playing Open Legend once again, and boy, is this going to be a fun one. We are playing in Ancient Rome, of course, and we've got a full cast of crew members and characters back on today. And let's go around and figure out who they are, first of all. Let's go meet the cast and crew. So let's start to my left today with Louise. How's it going, Louise?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. You should be worried.
I always am. I come here, I'm stressed immediately, worried always.
So, Louise, talk to us a bit about Aquila.
Yes, Aquila. She's a Roman woman who she knows what she wants and generally knows how to get it. Especially like being a woman in this kind of very much a man's world isn't the easiest thing, but she does try to make it work, especially when, now there's a cult involved that is somewhat related to her dead husband that just decide to send her dead body. Which, it's an interesting way of showing affection. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully well for her. She herself used to Octavian, who is one of the Triumvirate, who is Julius Caesar's adopted nephew. And because of all that, she's very quite fond of him, but at the same time, she does want what's best for Rome, and she's very much hoping that this journey, that she's on, all these shenanigans that she's gotten involved in, she's hoping to find out exactly where she stands with all the people that are kind of vying for the protection of Rome at the moment.
Absolutely. Fantastic. We have Speedy back online today. How's it going, Speedy?
Hey, it's going pretty good, man.
Good. Fantastic. Talk to me about Balbus.
Yeah, I am playing Balbus Parum. He's a priest of the Roman god Bacchus, god of wine and fertility and the harvest. So he rose to power in Rome by his priestly duties, working for a noble family, the family of the biological parents of Octavian when they couldn't conceive. Since then, he's grown in power exponentially by a variety of methods, but mostly by hosting lavish parties and inviting the most influential of Romans to attend and partake in the festivities. As such, he's a man of both the elites, but also of the people. And in the last episode, he happened upon a high-ranking official position as consul of Rome.
Yes.
Completely out of nowhere. So now he owns vast tracts of land and power and is assembling an army.
Yes. Yeah. There's been a lot of updates from last episode. So yeah, we'll catch you guys up on where the story's sitting currently. But we also have Tool School back today. How's it going, Tool School?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty fantastic. Excited.
Yeah, no, this is like the only game of the week that drives me to drink, so cheers everyone out there, because it is...
Appreciate that.
Because it takes a little bit of alcohol to wrap your head around the amazingness of this campaign that Will has put together for us and the detail of it, and it is pretty cool. I am playing Monbanzar Hadim, who is the ambassador to Egypt for Rome at this time. He has risen in power through his connections to Mark Antony, who is currently in control of sort of the eastern portion of the empire as well as Egypt itself, and also grown to power through his use of blood magics from Egypt to give him some insight into the world around him. He is somewhat of a outsider here, just because anyone who is not Roman is considered a lesser person, which does rub him the wrong way, but he very much believes in the power of Egypt, and I think I described it last week as, these Romans, they're kind of new money, but he's, the old money of Egypt. Egypt will never fall, and we have to muddle through these short-term interlopers because Egypt is eternal. Yeah. And that's kind of where he plays his hand from, is he will acquiesce to these Romans because they'll be gone in a couple decades, centuries, whatever.
Yeah, they won't stick around, yeah. We also have Josh, who's run away, but he's playing Lucius today. More on Josh in a minute, I suppose. What's up, Owen? Yeah, pretty much. Back on tomorrow, no? But today we are here playing Imperator, and of course this game is Open Legend, which we highly encourage you guys to go and check out. Once again, this is a paid promotion, sponsored game, so go check out Open Legend. It really helps us out, even if you don't intend on buying anything or anything like that, to click a link from us so it shows them that there are people who are interested in stuff like that. So OpenLegendRPG.com is a great place to go and check out. The rules are free, so you're actually going to be spending any money anyway. So go check that out and you'll be having a great time. Promise you, this game, if it doesn't convince you, then I don't know what will, because Open Legend can do a ton of things, and hopefully there'll be some crazy rolls today to show you guys the fun exploding dice mechanics. But before we get into the recap, I suppose I'll tell you guys how you can interact with today's show. The first way you can do that is by following. If you haven't already, hit that follow button and join us. We're here 6 days a week on Encounter Roleplay, playing tabletop roleplay games like D&D, Call of Cthulhu, and Open Legend. You can check us out here pretty much any day, and when we hit 20 followers, you guys will get to decide anything which happens next. In fact, I'm telling a lie, 30 followers is what we're going for next. We just hit 20 on the countdown, which means that we're going to be bringing in a viewer decision pretty damn soon. The other way, of course, you can help us out, spread the good word of the show, tell your friends about it, etc., is to tweet and to hit that retweet button. When we hit 20 retweets, another viewer decision will come into effect. We're on 15 already, so there's going to be a lot of craziness going on this session already, I can tell. And of course, if you want to subscribe, and you can do, feel free to burn away your 5 space bucks on Open Legend, on a Encounter Roleplay subscription, and join in a Gentleman's Club. But on that bombshell, Josh has just rejoined us. So Josh, talk to me about Lucius, and then we'll do the recap.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've done myself with a mischief. Long story short, I injured my shoulder fighting a Land Rover.
Wow, that's a CR7 beast.
I broke the bonnet of a World War II Land Rover with my left shoulder, and now I can't move it properly. So, you know, fun thing happened just day to day. But I will be playing Lucius, who is sort of the best way I've found to describe him is if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, think Grima Wormtongue, that sort of snidey, always lurking in the shadows, always whispering in people's ears. He has a bodyguard named Titus, who sort of is his enforcer, and he's very well connected. A lot of people understand that, you know, as much as you may hate Lucius, he's very useful, and that's why he's been able to stick around for so long. Never really playing much, putting too many cards behind one particular player. He likes to play the field.
He's one of the necessary evils of Rome, I suppose, yeah. I also want to thank Mad King Midas, who, just as we're doing the intros here, donated £15 to give the first rolls that all the players rolled to be botches. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. God damn it, Midas. He strikes again.
It's not wild magic.
It's true. So, not yet, anyway. Don't tempt him. So, yes, let's dive into the recap of the session. This is episode 4 of Imperator. The rest of the episodes are on YouTube. I encourage you guys to go and watch them. There's a lot of politicking and a lot of shenanigans along the way, but we'll try and do our best to summarize it here. So, the players are set in 43 BC in a fantasy Rome. So that means that we're based loosely on real history, but we are off the rails in the sense that magic is real. The gods are very much real, and that they can come down to earth and have an effect upon the game, an effect upon the players and the people in the world. But 43 BC, Caesar has been murdered. Julius Caesar, that is, of course, and now the world has been sent into a bit of a spiral. There are 3 factions who are vying for control of Rome itself. The players are working for the Senate, and they are essentially the kind of X-Men of the Senate, in a way, or the assassins of the Senate, who knows? The ambassadors, the powerful magic-wielding individuals who have been set a task. That task is to decide between one of these 3 leaders, Octavian Caesar, Lepidus, and Mark Antony. One of them will be in control of Rome, most likely by the end of this campaign. It's up to the players to decide decide who is the best fit for the position of ruling over Italia and the Senate. They want someone that they can control. They are not looking for the most powerful leader necessarily. They're looking for the most easily manipulated leader that they can put in place. So they went and they assassinated Cicero. Cicero told them that Mark Antony actually plans to invade Rome, and so last session a couple of extra things happened where they returned to Rome with this information. One of the consuls had been assassinated, and in his place Balbus was chosen to be the consul due to wild magic surge and some quick thinking, and therefore these guys now controlled a lot of land near Brundisium, and Balbus has also set up a militia force which is going to be raised as this kind of private army here. So a lot of land, a lot of power, and they're much more influential than they were before. But their friend Tullius, who's the other consul, has also put them. They're not on an even footing. He is very much in control of what's happening on the console, and Balbus is there so that you guys can get things done, essentially. The task still remains. Who will you choose to be the next ruler of Rome? Will it be Octavian Caesar, the nephew of Julius? Will it be Lepidus, one of Julius Caesar's old friends and military consuls? And Mark Antony, one of the most famous generals of all time, and in this time as well, particularly linked with Egypt as of now. We left off the session with a lot of planning, a lot of scheming, and the idea with the party that they might go and speak with Lepidus. Another problem that Rome is currently having is that there is no bread in Rome. The bread ships from Egypt, who are controlled by Mark Antony, have not arrived, and so the population will soon be starving, and when there's not enough food in Rome, the masses rebel, and terrible things could happen to the Senate and to Rome itself. So most of Italia at this point, we're actually going to be jumping ahead somewhat in time, because there was a lot of things in this game that are going to be taking quite a lot of time. For instance, Balbus is raising troops, raising crops, and the like from Brundisium. So we're actually going to be jumping ahead a couple of weeks into the future. I'm going to be hearing from you guys what you would have wanting to get up to before we jump back into modern time, quote-unquote modern time. So let's start with Balbus. So Balbus, you are now one of the consuls of Rome. This is a position which you are by no means adequate for. You've been thrust into power so that you can be manipulated by Tullius, and there's no hesitation in your mind that that's exactly why you're there. However, it comes with a lot of perks. You own a lot of land in Brundisium, which we've marked here on the map on red, just here. That means that you have access to vineyards and crop fields and a peasant population of several thousand. What has Balbus been doing over the past few weeks in order to prepare for your next stage in this campaign?
Well, he's been going around doing a few things. So he's definitely been raising some troops in Brundisium to build just sort of an army, not necessarily to fight against Mark Antony, because that would be too big of a task for any army that Balbus could raise, but to be able to scout them out, have a trireme at least, so we can get a head start on whatever he might be trying to do, wherever he might be attempting to land to reach Rome. Also to try and aid in the bread crisis. He's been going around to the priests of Rome and aiding them in spells of creation so that they can just create bread out of nothing, essentially, from the favor of the gods, to aid in the hunger problem, so we don't have to worry about that as much. Also in this time, he's been spending his nights, of course, throwing lavish parties to try and ease the minds of the people of Rome, to keep the people under, some semblance of peace.
Nice.
Also, in a little bit of his spare time, he's been brewing up some wines and potions Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going to bring in the Mad King Midas's donation here. Not for necessarily a roll, but for the amount of checks that you would needed to have made if we're actually playing it out. So we're going to say that your efforts in creating food in Rome have been very, very sour. And that's your kind of nat 1. The priests are, whilst they do have some magic, they're by no means acquainted with the sheer mass of food which is needed to be created for the hundreds of thousands of plebeians that live within Rome. It's gone so far at this point that there is a great amount of unrest in the city. It's dangerous to travel alone if you're like a noble, because you might be mugged. And this is spreading to outer Italia as well. So from where Rome is itself, the rest of Italia, like a kind of rippling effect, is losing control, and that is definitely a problem. However, you have had success in raising crops and your kind of militia, I suppose, your private army within Brundisium. So you've trained several hundred soldiers. Problem with these soldiers is that they have no experience, so they're green as grass, but they are something. Okay, Louise, what has Aquila been up to these past few weeks?
For the past few weeks, she's probably been firstly keeping an eye on Balbus to kind of make sure he's taking this new position seriously and not partying all day and all night. He's kind of
just
hoping
mostly the night, yeah.
Mostly the night. Day business, night party. That's fine.
Party.
And then other than that, she's probably trying to figure out what's going on with the whole cult situation.
Okay, sure. All right, we'll play that out here in a second, I think. Okay, you got to party like it's 43 BC. Fantastic. We'll play out a scene of Aquila looking into her cult activities here in a little bit. Monban, what has Monban been up to?
Well, Monban was going to travel down to Balbus's lands, trying to get himself somewhat closer to where potentially Mark Antony was, where we assumed Mark Antony would possibly make an incursion into Italia, mainly to see if he could somehow make contact with Mark Antony, or even using some of his scrying magic, be able to ascertain his position. His main goal in all of this, which he might or might not be able to accomplish, is he has this thought that Mark Antony, being a conqueror, might not be looking to settle in Rome, but sort of take control, pass through, and once they've passed through, that it would leave the Senate basically in charge. So he'd be able to both serve Mark Antony, who he owes allegiance to, as well as the Senate, who has tasked them to basically give them a way to remain in control of Rome. So he's trying to sort of thinks he's got a good solution, but also is able to play both sides a bit. So he's, he is trying to sort of see what kind of influence and his prescience, and again, he's got scrying to sort of try to make contact with his old trusted friend Mark Antony and see what his intent is, and maybe even persuade him that Rome is not the prize, that in fact France, which is the Gaul and England and Hispania, are really the prize. Why sit in the sewer that is Rome when you have the glories of all of Gaul and Hispania, and even Great Britain, the Britons, available to him.
Absolutely. So I'm going to use your now one here as well, and say that you can't not only can you not get in contact with Mark Antony or any of his seers or anything like that, they are actively blocking you, and you are not sure why. But whatever reason, when you kind of it's almost like picking up the telephone when they immediately hang up.
Gotcha.
Why
don't you call anymore, man?
You feel like you are definitely being given the cold shoulder right now. You sense that you might be out of favor currently, potentially to do with your, now that you work with these guys. Maybe they feel like your allegiances have changed. Who knows? Okay, and Lucius. What's
Lucius understands that in these difficult times, someone suddenly rising to power far above their station draws a lot of attention, and Balbus has stepped around quite a few people, so Lucius is going to spread his tendrils through the city of Rome and find out who exactly Balbus has just made enemies with, and find out information on them, because if need be, Lucius will put them down.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, I guess.
I know, it's don't worry, I'll do you couldn't possibly hoped it, like, I'll do all the horrible things.
Yeah,
so
don't you worry, I won't hold it against you later.
So here's a weird thing. You would think that immediately Balbus would have all of these enemies, because he's been put into a position of power beyond his status and what he deserves in terms of like the Roman political game. However, we're going to use your net one as well. The anything that you have found against senators who might hate Balbus any leads you've had has mysteriously gone missing. It's almost like someone is actively trying to put rumors down and to purposely make things difficult for you. Someone is covering their tracks. You're not sure who this could be, or if they're a group of people or whatnot, but it's you are absolutely convinced that Balbus must have enemies. Someone is just playing very hard to make it difficult for you to find out who exactly they are. Okay, so Aquila, we're going to fire off of Aquila, and to begin today's campaign, for the sake of argument, we guys are all going to be starting in Balbus's estate in Brundisium, his villa there. Huge, sprawling mess of buildings, lots of slaves around there, some freed slaves as well. The militia also have like a barracks, which would be built just outside of the villa grounds itself. You've got vineyards around the back, and you're along the coast. And of course, the coast would lead you to Macedonia, where Mark Antony's lands lie. So it's probably not the safest place if you fear an invasion is coming soon, but this is your base. While you're in Rome, there's a lot of things that could happen, but this at least seems to be your kind of safe haven. So we're going to fire off of Aquila. So one night, Aquila, you decide that you need to look into whatever these cult activities were. Of course, last week you were contacted via this magical leaf ornament thing that you have, and they left the body of Cicero poisoned and eviscerated several times at Balbus's bed, somehow magically. You don't know what's going on there. However, you do know that your husband, deceased, had something to do with that, and that's certainly a connection that you might want to explore a bit more. So how exactly does Aquila go about this?
She's going to try, like, just talking at the leaf and just see if she gets any response.
Okay, so like the act of somebody talking at it doesn't seem to ignite any power within the leaf. The leaf doesn't say anything, or nothing, like no presence appears. This is of course a magical item, so it's possible it would have, it would come up to Aquila that maybe there's magic involved if she wants to kind of begin the conversation.
Is there any like test I can do so I can find out what it is I need to do to speak to occult people?
Yeah. Let's see, what have you roll? Any skill that makes sense magically with trying to commune with these items. Presence, yeah, that would probably do it. Prescience, sorry, yeah.
Learning, maybe, as well.
Yeah, I'd let either of those probably roll, really. Whichever would work best for Aquila, I think.
Do a bit of the old learning.
Bit of the old learning. Yeah, you can study this thing.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, no.
I was going to give you the nat 1, but hey, you did it yourself.
Doesn't matter anymore.
It's impressive. You try and study this thing. It's just a leaf, there's nothing happening with it at all. You're trying to you're trying to get something from it, right? And you're kind of looking at it, studying it, doing whatever magical senses that you can summon to do this. You hear this large, wet slop sound, just kind of thud with a bit of like wet slop to it as well. You know, if something really heavy and wet would kind of like fall down, like a sack of wet meat or something like that. That kind of hits the ground behind you in the large chamber that you're in currently. You turn around and there is a body on the floor again, and this body you would recognize to be the consul, the dead consul Flavius. He has similar evisceration marks all over his body. Must be over 100 knife wounds of some weapon which clearly doesn't cut like a normal knife would, all over his flesh, which has been kind of mortified, and there's a strange green necrosis on his skin. This time, however, you see his mouth is open, but there is no tongue inside that mouth. And his eyes, as well, rather gruesomely, have been mutilated and almost crossed out with like an X over them with these wounds. And he has suddenly appeared there before you whilst you're trying to attract the presence. And that's when you feel that presence as well. That voice that is near your conscience, that you're not sure if it's godly or not, or if it's just purely magical. And the female voice once again says, "Another gift. You got it this time, all right? Yes?
Yes, why, thank you.
Is the message any clearer this time?"
I think I'm getting there. But so thank you for your gift. I greatly appreciate everything that you've done and all that you've given me.
You are welcome.
May I just ask, so that I can properly address you, what may I call you?
You may not.
Understood.
But
Understood.
please do send the message to the rest of your companions.
I will. Certainly, yes, I will make sure they are fully aware of the current situation.
Balbus in particular. We've been keeping an eye on him.
May I ask why you've been keeping an eye on my friend Balbus?
He's come into a great deal of power in a very enviable position. We wouldn't want anyone to have any hurt feelings about that.
True. So you look to protect him?
The voice doesn't respond for a good couple of seconds. Something like that. He has us to thank, of course.
Of course. Of course he does. Well, yes. So this body, Flavius, I will ensure the message gets across. I will communicate
that there are
with
none that we cannot take.
Yes, you are all powerful, as always. I am envious.
And that Balbus should be thankful for his newfound position.
Yes, I quite agree.
I'm sure he never expected to come into it, but we made sure.
I don't think any of us quite expected him to come into it.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Aquila.
As always.
I will speak with you soon, if another message needs to be relayed.
Understood. Thank you again.
The presence goes.
The body's still there?
Oh yeah.
Still there? Is anybody like near me or with me or around me?
Most likely Septimus is on your door.
Did he hear any of that?
He probably heard you talking, and he probably heard this kind of like sound, but most likely it's a sound of, you know, you knocking something over. He wouldn't rush into the room.
Okay.
I guess he knocks, you know, Lady Aquila, is everything okay?
Yeah, yes, everything is just fine. Could you fetch my companions for me? All of them, please.
Of course, yes. And he, goes off to find the compatriots. I'm going to bring in the first viewer decision for today, seeing as we hit 20 followers and 20 retweets. Thank you, guys. So, we've got a mysterious cult, a lot of bodies turning up, a mysterious woman, and a whole lot of things going on in the Empire right now. Now, I'm going to give you guys a pretty broad picture one, and you can tell me anything that has happened or is currently happening within the Empire. Now, this is a pretty big one. You've got Octavian over to the west. You have Lepidus down to the south, and then Antony in the east. You could tell me that Antony has been working on a new weapon, or he's massing legions. Octavian has been, I don't know, he's up to no good as well. Underneath this line in chat, something which is happening right now in the Empire, or has happened within tonight. Get your ideas into the chat, put VD before it so that we know that you need a doctor and that it's a viewer decision idea. Get those in, guys. And of course, if you haven't followed yet, hit that follow button and join us. So, Aquila, one by one, each of you guys are summoned by Septimus, who has been established now to be Aquila's main man, and kind of like personal assistant, bodyguard, whatever. You enter Aquila's room together, and you see that there is the corpse of the former consul Flavius dead before you, with these same lacerations and marks all over his body.
Not again.
It seems as though we have another gift, yes.
Yes,
Aquila.
again.
Care to enlighten us any further?
I know not much more than you do. They spoke to me again. They mentioned you, Balbus.
They mentioned me.
Mentioned you by name.
What did they say about me? Good things, I imagine.
Well, depends on how you look at it. They said that you should be thankful for the position that they said was caused by them, that you have achieved.
They
And
did
that you-
this.
Apparently
God,
so.
I suppose that makes sense with the body on your floor, but why?
The body
Why
sent
me?
a message I'm still trying to figure out myself. But they said that you in particular needed to pay close attention to what this body is saying, with its tongue cut out and its eyes crossed out. Not a great message by the sounds of it.
Right. So this isn't good for me, is what you're saying.
Am I getting that this is not good? Is that just me?
If I may intercede,
Yes.
some of the old ritual magic of my people uses such symbolism, or not this exact, but one would say with the crosses and the eyes mutilated and the tongue having been removed. This is someone who saw something, then spoke about it. And the message is that gets you dead.
Yes, they certainly don't seem to want us to talk.
If they didn't want us to talk about them, they should stop shoving bodies on my floors. But regardless, it's a dangerous situation. Consul was murdered and I was given his position, and now that man lies on my floor. We need to get rid of this.
You're telling me it's in my room. It's disgusting.
Better yours than mine. Not again.
Lucius, any opinions on this matter?
Somebody here is trying to play the Senate the same way the Senate is trying to play Rome herself. It appears we have a new player entering the field. Someone who has plans for Idea Balbus here. I have been trying to locate individuals who might take exception to his rise to power. And so far, those who would usually wag their tongues to me have either lost their tongues, their minds, or themselves entirely. Someone is silencing people. Somebody is covering us in a shroud. We are being eaten away at. And it appears Balbus is their central piece. Something they plan to push straight to the other side of this board and claim their prize.
I asked the person, or the thing, whatever it was, that was communicating with me, if they intended to protect you, Balbus. Their answer was rather ambiguous. Something along the lines of something like that. I cannot say for sure if you are safe. Well, safer than usual.
I didn't ask for this damn position. This was thrust upon me with their murder and the actions of the Senate.
And I didn't ask to be contacted by this strange otherworldly voice and for dead bodies to appear on my doorstep, but here we are.
I do not like these threats on my life. I am very scared.
Sounds that as though they are protecting your life, not threatening it at this time. You are being used, but at least you're being used as a living pawn.
Until I do anything
dead.
against them, it is a threat regardless. Did they say what it is they want from me? Other than to not speak of them leaving bodies on my floor.
No, they only said to heed the message.
Very well. This does not leave this room.
Agreed. I myself am not too sure I'm continuously comfortable with any attempted contact with these people. It seems that whenever a contact happens, another body appears. Who knows who it could be next?
Well, it's no good sitting around wondering who it could be. There's work to be done. Monban, I trust you with the disposal of this body. I would
can
not
take
like
care of it for you.
any evidence of this around.
Yes, please do remove it. Doesn't fit the decor of my room.
Okay, what do you rate to Jam 182 for following a gentleman and a scholar? Fantastic. Okay, so Monban removes the corpse. Obviously, you don't really want to be seen with the
Yeah,
corpse.
I can use invisibility on it,
Sure.
and can take it and get rid of it, and have basically nothing be left with it of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So you've got the disposal of the corpse done at this point this evening, and so the rest of you are left, to your ruminations, I suppose. So we can say the next morning is the day that we've decided that you guys are setting out on your final plan. You've given yourselves a few weeks to get your affairs in order. Now at your console has been a lot of paperwork and things that you needed to attend and whatnot in Brundisium as well in Rome. So now you're all kind of freed up, as it were. Your calendar's really freed up this week in order to have that conversation about who do we talk to, where do we go to, what is our plan for for Rome. So it's the morning you guys are gathered for breakfast.
Much like you, Lucius, I was trying to use my time to discover what Mark Antony's plans might be, to see what his aspirations are, whether it is only Rome or to continue to move onward, with the thought a absent conqueror leaves power in the hands of the Senate in Rome. However, I too seem to be actively blocked, even with my magics, to either find, contact, or even discern by whom I was being blocked. It's most mysterious, especially with the proximity, we believe, of his army to our location. I still do believe this could be the best course of action for us, depending on Mark Antony's aspirations. He could be swayed to potentially conquer the fruits of Gaul and Hispania quite easily, I believe. Food, wine, fertile lands, rich property, ocean access. These are all things that he knows are strategically valuable.
This is true. He would be quite the the figure to keep the name going. But in his absence, the Senate would have plenty of maneuvering room. However, I myself have always served Rome, and I've always served the gods. And anyone who proclaims to be chosen by them should either be silenced for their heresy or, well, aided. My gods are not ones you wish to anger.
No gods are. But we have a different sort of magic affecting us now. We should seek out the aid of our gods if we want to stop it.
If it is true that we have someone out there that is supposedly one of the most powerful casters that ever lived, and we have reason to seek an audience with him, and he has reason to speak with us, gaining him as a potential ally might see to an end of
Thanks
this
for following on.
haunting that Aquila seems to be experiencing.
Yes, I agree. We at least need to talk to him.
Do you have... You mentioned silencing those who are committing heresy. Do you have ways to determine whether this magician is in fact touched by the gods or masquerading as such?
You've spent quite a considerable amount of time in Rome, have you not?
Yes, as an outsider.
Then as an outsider, how many fair, kind-hearted, law-abiding Romans have you seen perish horribly in our streets when the gods grow tired of them? If this man is chosen, well, he has nothing to worry about. If not, if he is a liar, a charlatan, someone who proclaims to be that which he is not, I believe my gods will see to it that he comes to a most heinous and unfortunate end. I have faith. You should too. The gods are not merciful.
Aye, it is that faith which gives me some amount of hope in the man. I do not know that I trust him entirely, but he does seem to be favored by the gods, and I have no reason to doubt them.
And he is at the least incredibly powerful. Certainly worth looking into.
I defer to your knowledge of your gods and the potential threat or blessing that this man could bring to Mother Rome.
I would still fear, though, going to him and telling him of the changes that we've seen. I don't want to end up with my tongue cut out. Not like that. Not teleported to some other bastard's floor.
Well,
So,
watch how much you drink. I've heard rumors that you have a habit of waking up on other people's floors when you have too much. In the meantime, we should make preparations for the travel and do so as quietly as we can. Have you any advisors, anyone, any aides, someone that you trust implicitly with your life? And I don't mean that figuratively, Balbus. Other than, of course, those gathered here in this room.
I have just one, a priest back in Rome who I trust unconditionally. But he's far and is not nearly as powerful as most of us. Why?
You need someone who will remain in command here. Someone you can act through. Someone you can trust to relay the right orders and give the right reports.
Well, he would be the man for it.
Is he here, or is he back in Rome?
He's back in Rome managing my estate there. But I could send word easily to bring him.
Have him brought here with all due haste, and in the meantime we'll make our preparations, and I presume we will be setting sail shortly.
Yes.
All right. So, to get us clear out our character, the plan is to go to Lepidus.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you could find Lepidus. Your most recent scouting information would be that Lepidus would be near Carthago, Carthage, and basically that's Tunisia, modern day Tunisia, I guess. So you'd probably sail into Thapsus, and then take a walk from there, essentially take a march from there, or you could hug the coastline from Thapsus and then go down. Either way, it's basically just with ancient travel, whilst it is easier to just go in straight lines these days, it's far safer to hug shorelines, like the kind of route that you'd probably take. See, I get freehand. Like a probable route would be, something like this, all the way down here to Sicilia, and then let's take the shot to Thapsus and then down to Carthago. That's probably something like the journey planner that you're looking at currently. But you can sail, as soon as today if you wanted. It's most likely Balbus has had this in preparation for some time. Getting ready to sail to one direction or another. To go and meet with Lepidus. So, it's Thapsus, it's not Thapsus with an F. So you want to head out. Is there anything that you guys want to be doing before you leave? Obviously, Balbus, you can get in contact with your friend the priest to get him to rule over the estate and give him directions that you want. In your absence, any last things that you want to do? Because this is the last time to easily contact Rome and the Senate, of course.
Should we let what's his name, our
Tullius?
sponsor, know our plan?
Yeah.
I think we should send word to him by trusted messenger.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you can definitely let Tullius know the plans. Does Lucius not want to?
No, I'm just checking something. Where is it? Because I actually have some things, but I just need to Nope, can't do it yet. Cool.
Okay.
Because I do have telepathy, but not quite that powerful yet. So yeah, I will. I guess we let him know, and tell him that we will be.
Do you mention Flavius?
No.
That's just between us. Between us,
He's
friends.
gone. He's been dead for a while, and
They've forgotten about him. It's fine.
Yeah.
No one remembers that guy anymore.
what, that old bag of bones?
Flavius who? I've never heard of him. No.
No worries.
All right.
Right, was it? Oh bother.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, that was it.
Oh,
Last
dear.
week.
God.
Oh dear.
Oh gosh.
What about Aquila? Anything she wants to do?
Not particularly. She's happy to set off when everybody else is.
All right. So Balbus actually has a trireme. Just go ahead, Monban.
I don't know whether it would be even possible to try to get just some word to Egypt to see if they have any information of Mark Antony's whereabouts to any of my contacts in Egypt, otherwise, since I haven't been able to do magic rings. But
You could
the
do
reality
like
is what's.
Yeah, you could do manual.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right.
yeah, that's the thing is sending off a message that way. The reality is, of it ever finding me again is very, very slight. But
Right. You could do. Yeah, you could send
yeah,
out a
I
message.
mean, just probably just also, normal correspondence with my update to Egypt, and would also see about that. But again, would not mention any of this intrigue that we're involved in. It would be send grain, blah blah blah.
Okay, sure. Fantastic. Lucius, anything else? Are we all good?
I think honestly time is of the essence. So other than sort of making sure that Titus has everything he needs for marching and fighting on the go.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, no, I'm good.
Okay. So the group of you set out on Speedy's Balbus's trireme, right? So this is again one of the three-tiered ships, about like 10.8 feet wide or something like that. It's like ridiculously tall for a ship. This is way above your little shitty wine boat that you had before. This is going to go much faster and be much more safe mode of travel, and you might even be able to repel people as well. You can. The battering ram on this thing would be enough to crush other ships with. So, the group of you head out, and the journey itself. I'm guessing you're taking with you your retainers, such as Titus and Septimus, and any personal bodyguards that you guys have.
Yeah, I'd be taking my normal manservant and a couple of my other slaves and Egyptian attaches, etc.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
you mentioned I got 2 bodyguards from
That is right, yeah.
from the consulship.
Yes. Feel free to name those, by the way.
Left and right.
Yeah, left and right. No, I'll say there's one who's male and one who's female, and
Conveniently.
I'll think of names.
Wow. So these are like the quote unquote bodyguards, because the Senate would never give you a female bodyguard, but you've totally replaced
but
it.
she's pretty badass still. But yeah, the dude's like an Adonis, and the chick is also just beautiful, absolutely.
Aquila was very impressed at first. She was like, "Oh, female bodyguards! It's finally time." No. Okay.
She is still a bodyguard. She's still pretty tough. But I'll probably at least I might make character sheets for them at some point. But,
I love the idea that Aquila just walks over and is like, "I'm so proud of you." No, I'm a hooker in roleplay.
I'm dressing up for the role.
This is mail order. I'm
still
really
proud of
sorry.
I'm a LARPer.
I'm still proud. Follow your dream.
This is just my LARPing career taking off. Okay, so you got your retainers with you on this large trireme. Each of you would have your own rooms, I guess. Balbus would fit them out with rooms. Usually you probably only have a room, and then the rest will just be bunks, but hey, it's fantasy. Woo-hoo. So you can be doing whatever you want to on this journey, which is going to take you several weeks to weathering good and bad weather to get along to the coast of Africa, to make it to Thapsus. So the group of you, let's go around once and just do a quick travel mechanic. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit more restricted by some of the craziness in travel mechanics, seeing as there isn't as much magic, but hey, I'm sure we can find some interesting things. Basically, tell me a problem or something that you need to overcome. It could be that you run into pirates. It could be simply that you need to figure out more about your weird cult, or that you get up to something sly whilst you're on the boat. Let me know. Let's start with Josh and Lucius. So it's going to be several weeks of travel, and like I say, good and bad weather, so it's possible that you'd run into storms and the like, hugging the coast of Italia for now.
Yeah, I think, so the first thing that happens is coming along, we come across a ship that is Lepidus' ship, and he waves over and
hey guys,
we're just like, hey,
what's up, Lepidus?
what are you doing here? He's like, I'm
just
on
chilling,
holiday,
bro.
and we're like, oh, okay. So, the biggest thing is sort of like, hiding my shame for how embarrassing this is, going on from this big voyage and instantly being dashed. But also after he wakes up from his dream and realizes he's still stuck on a boat with these idiots, he will. I'm going to say that along the way, it's going to be a sort of a difficult journey out at first. And I mean, considering the path we're taking, there is the whole worry that we are sailing essentially certainly for the first short little while, straight towards where, Mark Antony's ships might be coming from. So he's going to go ahead and throw up an aura, and he's going to grab some people from around, because this is going to be quite a big aura, so he's going to need a little help bolstering it. But he's going to put darkness into this aura, and essentially give us a shroud of natural cover to mask the ship's sort of departure. Giving us sort of like that first few days of like, if another ship arises, we're going to give it some mist, just to get us away. So I will give you a guess. So we can give the darkness a roll.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And this is any advantages, disadvantages?
Yeah, you got plenty of time to do it, so I'll give you advantage 1.
Cool. Thank you very much. So that is a 17. It's the perfect number.
The perfect number. Yeah, so you managed to obscure your vessel for the most part when any other ships come along that you see on the horizon that could be anything that is, enemy vessels. This close to the shoreline, it would be very unusual to see any enemy vessels that would herald an invasion, but that is exactly what you're looking for. Mark Antony invading potentially with his warships. But you managed to obscure yourself from, a couple of pirate vessels most likely here in the area. Sicilia itself is actually renowned for a lot of pirate activity in this time, so it's an issue. But you managed to kind of, these mists weave themselves around the vessel, and you go obscured until you get to, around about Sicilia, is where we're looking here on the map. What's Monban up to? Oh, you are muted, Toscal.
This is interesting, as Monban was looking through his spell book, i.e. the Open Legend Banes, realized that a spell that he was used to the way it worked now works differently, because apparently there's been an update.
New rules.
So let's see how I can use this. Actually, that's all but what you just did, though. Sorry, Phantasm is different, by the way. For anyone who has Phantasm, they just changed the mechanic on Phantasm. Just saw that.
I need to check that. Yeah, we all have
That's my
Phantasm.
go-to.
I was gonna say we all have Phantasm,
Phantasm,
so it's completely different now. But anyway, so I guess since we're done doing that, I'm going to be, if Monban's going to be doing things more bad. So one of the things, this has changed as well. Monban is going to be working on his ability to both summon and polymorph creatures to his aid, using and changing their ability to whether they are mobile through the seas to then make them sort of land creatures, and sort of making these somewhat abominations from living and dead parts. And then, of course, disposing of the bodies afterwards.
Nice.
So, as far as for the good of the party, I'm not sure if this helps anyone but Monban, but that's kind of in character. But actually, we can say something along. I know what we'll do, so we can put in the whole phantasm thing. So he's working one night on this really pretty awful thing that he's put together from parts of fish and birds, and actually a few parts that he saved from our good friend Flavius, into this sort of walking undead horror. And
did you say horror or whore?
Horror. I'm not.
I mean, I know you're into some stuff.
I actually might send it to Balbus for his room later.
Okay.
If Balbus is drunk enough, he won't know.
Balbus doesn't
Hey,
need to know.
I was going to use the phantasm to hide it. Maybe I'll use the phantasm for a whole nother reason.
I usually like.
I
usually like them. I usually like them a little curvier. This one's all skin and bones.
But I'll say that let's see what happens and see if I get totally screwed by me setting myself up for this. To use phantasm because basically someone comes upon me up on deck, maybe a guard or someone like that, and so I use phantasm to obscure this to look like it is just another slave or something. I would say I would definitely be doing this at night, probably in the shadows, so maybe an advantage.
All right, yeah, I'll give you advantage on this one. Also rated Shornagov, who donates £6 to give a nat 20 to Monban and to Aquila. So you can choose to use this now if you want, Monban, or you can save it for later.
I'm going to so wish that I'd used it, but I'm not. I'm going to do this and see myself get into so much trouble because it's Mom Ben. Because I'm thinking I might need a 20 later. So here we go.
After this goes wrong.
After this goes wrong, I might need the 20 then. No, I got 23.
Nice. I also paid a Windy Inferno for following, a gentleman and a scholar. Nice. So this guard kind of walks up at you, on you, late at night, and you manage to.
It is just another god, my friend. No need to worry at all. Move along. These are not the corpses you're looking for.
Move along.
It must have been the dark. My eyes are playing tricks on me. He moves along after a little while. Okay, so what about Aquila?
She will be spending a good deal of time with that little leaf of hers.
Quality time.
Quality time with the leaf, see if she can. She doesn't like to not understand things. She's going to try and figure out what is the deal with this magical leaf that she's been given. Okay. I still have a nat one to use for a round if I'm Mad King. So I don't think I'll bring it in here. So you can roll me another prescience if you want to try and contact again. Okay, roll another learning. Yes, learning. And you can use the nat 20 on this one if you so desire. Again, I feel like things will usually go wrong towards the end, so I'm gonna hold that on. Okay. A 15. Okay, so not bad. So you you see that this leaf has some strange qualities to it. First of all, it's made out of material that you're not entirely sure about. Something that you've never seen before. It's a leaf, but it's made out of some kind of metal, some kind of alloy, perhaps made out of different bits and bobs of different metals. You're not really sure. You are fairly sure that if you kind of hold it
and focus on the voice, and you would be able to make contact. You are fairly sure as well that its signal, as such, quote unquote, I suppose, is getting stronger the more days that you are traveling south. Almost as if you're getting nearer the source.
Told you.
Cool. That's great. That is wonderful news.
Nailed it.
Great.
Anything that you want to do with this information at all? Does she mention this to anyone, or is she keeping that to herself?
She'll keep it to herself for now. If it gets to the stage where they're coming off the boat and it's like she feels like it's getting like strong, she might try and tell somebody. But right now she's like, this is my problem. I will figure this out. I've got this.
Okay, so Balbus.
Yeah, so...
What is Balbus's little encounter here?
Yeah, Balbus is a little bit scared for his life still, knowing that they can just kind of teleport bodies places. So he's going to try and, as they're going on this ship, he's going to brew a potion of precognition.
Okay.
Or a wine, rather, of precognition. And so basically what this will do is he's going to take some ingredients. He's got wine on the ship already.
Okay.
But he's going to basically distill that wine into a brandy that's infused with the power of the gods. It's a magical, stronger drink. And when he drinks it, enough of it, rather, he passes out drunk and has dreams of the future.
Nice. Okay.
I think I've bought that before.
Yeah. So
The green fairies.
yeah. So does it just give you? Do you have to make any kind of roll for this, or is it just something you're making up?
So yeah,
Which is
there's
fine
a
as
few
well.
rolls. There's a few rolls I'm gonna have to make here.
Sure.
First one. Advantage one there.
Okay.
Yeah, first one is that's to brew the potion.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, on a 13, you could have created this this mixture. It's going to take you plenty of time, so you've got time to work on this thing. Yeah, Jaeger bombs.
but we're on the ship for weeks, and then won't have the recognition thing in roll 20, but I need to roll, I guess, a level 5 or 5 creation.
Sounds like math is happening. This is dangerous.
Yeah,
close to
there's math. There's things happening in Balbus's head. You can't really tell. It's
He's stumbling around.
mostly
drunk.
just dizzy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what he dreams of as well here in a second. All right, damn, yeah. So 31.
Explosion.
Wow, yeah. See what I exploded.
Yeah, so I get to ask a single question about particular event, decision, place, etc.
Okay.
And the GM provides a meaningful, not vague, but brief explanation
Okay.
about
All right.
what I seek.
Give me a question.
So, I should have thought of this more, but
Yeah, what's
he
my
spent all this
meaningful-
time brewing this potion. He wants to know the future, but he doesn't really know what he wants to know. I guess going to meet Lepidus, will that be safe?
Okay. So, you dream, Balbus, and the results of your dream are as follows, I suppose. Your visit to Lepidus will be dangerous. Lepidus himself is a very dangerous individual, and you sense in your dream that you and he are connected somehow. And you sense that this has something to do with the strange cult activity. And you're linking this all in your dreams to what Lucius has told you of his contacts going missing, of Aquila's been telling you with the bodies showing up. It is inherently riddled with danger. Yes.
Balbus is like shaking, turning over in his sleep. This is a nightmare for him. Oh god. Balbus is going to relay his drunken dream to his companions, and try to make it not sound crazy.
How does that happen? So you're on deck. You're coming into Tunisia. What's how do you explain this?
God. I had an encounter with the gods as the result of a drink the other night. This meeting with Lepidus is not safe. I found he is connected in some way with me and with the cult. It does not bode well for our meeting. It's best to take precautions and not trust him as we go forth.
Hey guys, I had a dream. It totally wasn't crazy.
Everyone's just like...
It definitely wasn't a drunk dream, guys. It's fine.
I spoke. It was a message from the gods. It was not just another drunken dream, as I always often have. But there was a holiness to it. And from that I have great fears.
Aquila will pull the metal leaf out. Is it still seeming really strong or getting stronger?
Oh yeah.
Cool. Okay, this leaf was gifted to me, I suppose, by whatever has been contacting me. I feel like it's getting stronger the closer we get to Lepidus. If your dream is correct, I feel the source of whatever has been going on lies with him.
Monban would like to try something. With your permission, my companions, I would like to try something which might give us some insight into these current revelations.
Depends what you'd like to try.
I would like to try to detect any remaining auras on both our friend Bulbus, to see if he has indeed had a vision from the gods, and on your leaf, to see if it is also from the gods, or maybe perhaps of some more nefarious origin.
Do you not have faith in me, Monban? I know your gods may be different from mine, but this is how Bacchus speaks.
I actually do have faith in you, my friend. What I'm worried about is if we are, in fact, embroiled in a holy war, or if we are determining whether there is a side of good and a side of evil here. I have all my faith in you. I would want to actually use you as the constant, in fact, in this, so that we might discern the nature of this leaf, to see if it too has a holy aura, or whether it is of more unholy origin.
I have no objection.
A fair test.
Lucius, I know this might be uncomfortable for you, and I believe that you may be able to use your connection to do this as well. I would be happily defer to you, as this is the realm of your gods and not my own.
I will join you, if only to ensure that if they reject your intrusion, their punishment is carried out.
But of course. So, Will, it looks like from the reading of detection that I probably have to cast it twice, once for holy and then once for unholy.
Okay.
Or actually it might be 3 times to go holy, unholy, and death. Or however you want me to do it.
Let's just do one roll.
Okay, one roll to see, and I can keep looking into all the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got plenty of time, so...
Okay, so Let me get that up. And does having Lucius help me give me some advantage?
Yeah. Lucius will give you advantage 1. You can use your nat 20 as well, of course.
Oh, I'm using my nat 20 then.
Okay.
I'm definitely using my nat 20 on this.
Cool. So, you reach inside yourself and find your kind of well of power as you touch the... First of all, you want to touch Balbus, right?
Yes.
See if there's any auras around him. The aura of death surrounds Balbus. It's almost like putting on, like being able to access like ultraviolet, and he is glowing, like glowing. And when you take like the magic shades off, I suppose he looks perfectly normal. When you touch the leaf, you feel both a holy and death-like touch around a leaf, that kind of aura. So there's kind of like you got kind of like a mixed reading on that one. You get both when you look at the leaf.
And no holy aura from Balbus.
No holy aura from Balbus?
I mean, you probably have like an essence of Bacchus, like kind of trying to break through, but it is like heavily clouded.
But heavily clouded by death.
Yeah.
Just curious, do I see? How about Aquila and Lucius? And I probably would even look at myself. No, I actually, you know what? I don't want to know. You know what? I retract that question because I don't want to have any spoilers. I think that could be way too much of a spoiler.
Okay. So
actually, with Lucius assisting me, does he see it as well? That's a good question.
Yeah, we'll allow Lucius to get kind of like almost like a looking through a window sort of look at this, like a muddy window almost, or like a steamed up window. I think was probably the best way to think about it. So you can see that, but you see it in nowhere near as like much clarity as Monban does with Balbus and the leaf.
Okay. The Lucius is gonna ask. He's gonna look. He's just gonna check himself, just to see that he has.
Before he's wrecked himself.
Yeah. He will check himself. He'll check his godly privilege, just to see, because honest, all bullshit aside, Lucius is ridiculously devout. So he just check himself over to make sure that everything he's doing at the moment hasn't pissed off the gods.
Yeah, you're pretty sure there's a holy aura around you. You yourself haven't come into touch with any of these bad vibes yet.
Okay.
But the essence of death and holiness in this world isn't such as in a fantasy D&D game where he's clearly undead, he's evil. Death, is godly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean they can be. Who is it? Not Jupiter. Pluto. Thank you. Bulbous, my dear friend, while Bacchus is always at your side, you are surrounded. His light is almost completely shrouded by the aura of death that permeates you.
I wish I could say this was a surprise, but I've been feeling it weighing heavy down on me for days, weeks.
Aquila.
It's unpleasant, to say the least, but this is the nature of the enemy that we face.
Aquila. Death surrounds your relic as well, but it does hold the holy light of the gods in equal measure. So while it may hold death, it also is being wielded by the gods themselves.
Indeed. That would explain how otherworldly it seemed. I will deign to be much more careful with it from now on.
it's at this point that you hear a "land ho" from one of the
Hose.
land ho.
Who said no?
There was a sea ho a second ago, but now there's a land one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been dealing with these fish hosts that
Right.
Montband
The whole time. Yeah, you see land before you, and you see Fapsus there, and you know it's a short travel down to Carthago. You can hug the shoreline with your ship. So seeing Fapsus itself probably isn't too big a deal, but it does mean that you're quite close to your end goal. Probably by the end of the day, you will be at your destination. Most likely, if you're going to stop here to reprovision and stuff like that, now would be your chance to announce yourself to Lepidus that you will be seeking an audience with him.
I would assume that we should abide by custom and formality in this situation, but I defer to you. The hospitality toward me will rely entirely on you, my companions, as currently Lepidus and Egypt are not known to be allies. Isn't that right? I think. Will, check my history.
He's Africa. Yeah.
Sorry,
And
Sorry, I was reading something right then. Relay that back to me.
Lepidus and Egypt are at odds, correct?
Yes, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
They share a border down at.
Yeah, I mean, it's war on the border, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my existence is going to be dependent on them, and maybe, I probably would disguise myself.
What, you decided you don't want to look like a teen boy like this?
I didn't intend to be killed.
Teen boy / teen girl.
Yes. Yeah, basically non-threatening boy band, you know.
Yeah.
What are you gonna look like inside?
Lisa Simpson's, non-threatening boys magazine.
Yeah.
For the regions of past for following as well, gentleman and scholar. Okay, so you want to disguise yourself before coming in here. Most likely, you will speak with officials here and then make your journey down to Carthago.
Yep, so I'll cast Shapeshift on myself just to make me look Roman.
Okay, cool. Any last preparations? You're coming in very quickly, and you see the bay before you of Fapsus' large metropolis-like city, which is heaving chaos. Basically, it's much like Rome, far smaller, of course, but plenty of fishing vessels and trade ships around. It looks like it's doing very well. I mean, Africa at this time is absolutely bountiful. One of the richest areas of the world in terms of its plant life and trade is very good at this time. So it's also incredibly hot down here. So you've come quite a ways. Obviously, there's nice heat in Italia, but going down to Africa, it's going to be quite uncomfortable. Yeah, reasonable to assume for anyone but Monban, most likely, who is used to the deep heats of Egypt. But there's a vessel coming towards you. Not really coming towards you, I guess you're coming towards it, I suppose, which isn't so much blocking the harbour, but which is clearly in place there, that you have to go past it. It's small, more like a trade vessel of sorts, but you see on it an accompaniment of guards and officials, all, of course, with this dark skin, which would mark you as very alien to any Roman. You guys are going to be some of the only light-skinned people around here from Rome. Most likely, some of the few Romans are actually going to be in the area. Carthage and Rome have ever had a uneasy relationship. And of course, historically, it all ends in tears between those two. But you very much feel like you're outsiders here, which is an unusual feeling for a bunch of Roman aristocrats. Of course, you do have your slaves and bodyguards with you and whatnot, and there are people waiting for you. By the looks of things, officials that you're going to most likely stop by first of all. So the ship is coming in. You've got your disguise on, Monban, and you kind of pull close towards this vessel. one of the gentlemen on the boat calls up to you, "Come down!" And there's a plank which is lowered from your ship down towards theirs. He says, "It's been a long time since we've seen any officials this way." As he's clearly recognized Balbus at this point. He's looking straight at Balbus, which is interesting as well, because news has spread like wildfire apparently about Balbus's coming to power.
Well, yes, a newest consul must take interest in these things, especially visiting a land that has such great supplies of food when Rome is at great risk.
He nods and says, "So, Consul Balbus, what will be your business here? Do you intend to stay within Thapsus, or will you be traveling elsewhere?"
We plan to meet with Lepidus.
He raises his eyebrows.
Yes, we'd like to have some discussions with him about the transport of food to Rome. As you may have heard, Rome is suffering as they have missed out on shipments of bread.
He nods. I'm very sorry to hear that. Well, feel free to provision here. We heard of your coming, so we have things ready for you. And there are like sacks of supplies, which are brought up by several of his slaves. And
Good chap.
he smiles thinly. "I will announce to Lepidus of your coming. You can meet him at Carthago."
Excellent.
He's staring at you, Balbus.
Yeah.
Like,
He's just staring at me.
like,
I will-
awkward staring is happening right now.
I will sort of step up to Balbus's side and say, "Pray, might you tell us who informed you of our comings? This was a later arranged trip. I wish to know who was so thoughtful and organized that they let you know ahead of time to provide these provisions for us so thoughtfully."
He shakes his head and says, "I forget the name of the individual, unfortunately. Been very busy getting all of these things ready for you. But safe to say that we have ships in these waters, and we have many friends along the coast of Italia and in Rome. We are proud to be allied with the Rome." You sense he's definitely not.
He's not. Yeah, okay. He's not. He's clearly not like Roman looking at all. He's African, right?
Right, yeah. He's dark-skinned, and whilst he, looks like he has some wealth, there's still going to be some resistance to like Roman rule, pretty much anywhere you go.
Yeah, taxes.
Right.
Well, regardless, it's good to have such a warm welcome. Would you like to have a drink with me while we wait?
No, thank you, though. I've already had a beverage before I arrived here, but you're waiting for all of the shipments to get aboard your ship and whatnot. So, what news from Rome? I heard that's a new consul. Congratulations, of course, on your new appointment.
Yes, thank you. It was unexpected on my part, but well, this is as the Senate wills and as the gods will.
He nods. He definitely doesn't believe in either your Senate or the gods, or your gods. But he said, of course. Well, it seems as though your shipment is almost ready. A safe journey to Carthago, of course. Lepidus will be waiting for you, and your travel will go unhindered. Of course, needless to say that you follow our rules and customs here.
I don't know much of your customs other than a good drink. I know of the alcohol in the region, I assume.
He nods sourly. A lot of the alcohol would be like Roman import wine, so you've probably got like your vineyard is probably ships out to Africa, so and the rest of the world. So that's probably what they're drinking here. But yeah, so your shipment is kind of ready. Is there anything else that you guys would ask of this man before leading to Carthago? All right.
How goes the conflict with Egypt?
He smiles thinly again. This seems to be this guy's kind of deal. And he says, "Oh, well, of course, nothing but territorial bickering right now, but of course, who knows what Antony has planned, or Lepidus indeed. I'm sure that you'll be able to enlighten and hopefully help Lepidus in his efforts. I assume your trip is not merely for business and bread."
We always are looking out for the interests of Rome, and stability is in the interest of all.
Yes, and negotiations, requests of bread come with requests of power. This is how things go.
He nods. Well, your shipment is ready. Smiles thinly again, bows once, and lets you back onto your ship. So the rest of the evening you can travel down to Carthage on the ship after having this kind of very frosty meeting, which is probably a bit awkward for you guys. You know, you're very used to, you walk into a room and everyone bows down before you. And in this case, it's been a bit of a frosty reception, despite all the heat, of course. You go further down to Carthage. By the time it's evening, you guys are there, and a good wind carries you there, and pretty bit of magical enhancing on from your guys' part makes the journey quite easy. Of course, you come into the bay. This much larger than Thapsus city, Carthago, is here. Of course, it's evening, so this sprawling buildings with different architecture. You see different kinds of trees as well. You'd be, looking at like palm trees rather than the kind of sparse, very urban look to Rome. Carthage is, of course, quite urbanized. There's a very large city, so it's familiar in a way. But you come into the bay, and you are not stopped by any ships or anyone at this time. The docks are free to you. See several of the kind of like officials nodding and like waving you through and whatnot. It seems like your vessel is definitely expected. And in the upper areas is the kind of palace grounds where you would expect to meet with Lepidus. And the area they're currently in is much more dock-like, with workers bringing in huge shipments, even as late as it is right now. So you're let down into Carthage itself, almost without any kind of like hindering. You just walk straight in, and there's guides around. Of course, there's like tour guides who are waiting at the docks for people like you. I can show you all around the cities. People calling at you. Clearly, a Roman ship comes with great wealth. You'd be beset by beggars and people who would want your money and stuff like that. But the journey up towards the palace grounds looks like it's fairly clear. Coming towards you, however, are a regiment of guards. Again, these guys are wearing some quite light armor. They carry spears, and they are led by a captain of sorts. You can guess by his heraldry and the kind of bulkiness of which he looks. He's been serving in the armed forces for quite some time. And he bows, and they all kind of bow once, quite stiffly, a little bit awkwardly, I suppose. And he says, "Greetings. Are you the..." He looks at Balbus, I suppose. "You are the contingent from Rome. We have been told to take you to the palace to meet with Lepidus."
Why, thank you. So very considerate. Yes, that is us.
He nods stiffly once. "Come with me." And he immediately turns on his heel when they kind of turn in regiment and begin to walk you through. These guys part any beggars before you, peasants in the streets and whatnot. They kind of move away from this detachment. You actually sense there's quite an amount of fear from the general populace as you're going through the city streets about this regiment, or perhaps this leader. You also see that his face is heavily scarred, really nasty cheekbone cuts, which have been kind of hastily stitched back up again, and his slightly bare chest also holds several cuts and wounds within it as well.
Ceremonial or look like battle wounds?
They look like battle wounds to you, yeah. If they were ceremonial, they'd most likely be sort of healed up much better, much quicker. These look like kind of dirty, rough wounds that have been left to fester. And of course, in the heat, it would really go bad quite quickly. Very, very easy to die from infection in the ancient world. But this guy, the fact that he's lived through most likely several infections, probably shows that he's a bit of a badass. You know, he's got his thick, rippling muscles as well, and he leads you straight up towards the palace. Everyone passed before him. Clearly owns the respect and probably fear as well of the population. This contingent of 10 or so guards lead you up to this grand palace, which it's probably stood here for some time, but Lepidus may have had some influences over it as well. The palace is built in a mixture of African and Roman style. So there's obviously some Roman influences there. Perhaps that's Lepidus's touch if he's had that built recently. Yeah, hardy as fuck. And it has this big, heavy ceiling roof over it, and you kind of come up to a colonnade as if you would in like the Roman Forum, I suppose. However, it does have, it's just filled, surrounded by African guardsmen who eye you very suspiciously as you're let through these giant... In fact, there aren't even doors, it's just open stone into this large central room. There isn't like a throne or anything like that as you would... as you might suspect from like a medieval kind of like castle or anything like that. It's just an open room, and there are seats in several areas so people sit around. Currently there's no one else in here aside from guards in the corners of the room. And the man stops and says, "You will wait here."
We thank you for your hospitality.
He doesn't say anything, and he waits with you, and you are actually going to be waiting unless anyone moves for a good 2 hours.
Speedy, we've been told that we need to, we've been taken as far as we are allowed to go, but from here on Balbus has to proceed ahead. It's on you to knock, really.
Yeah.
You are an awful person, Josh.
So you've entered into the palace. You've been told to wait, and you're going to be waiting here for at least 2 hours, which is highly rude, especially for a consul of Rome. You realize?
Mm-hmm.
I would bet you that Momban is used to this type of crap. Momban's just like
the waiting game. Yeah, you brought wine, food, whatever you need, but this captain of the guard waits with you until from a staircase on the other side of the room, a stone staircase comes down this man, and he is flanked by bodyguards as well. It's interesting. The first thing that you probably notice is the man before you, who you've never met before. You may have heard stories or heard descriptions, so you could confirm as to likely be Lepidus himself. He is a thin man, very thin but very tall as well. He has skin like a really old man, kind of like paper thin looking skin, and you can see his veins running underneath his arms as well. His eyes are a deep green emerald, and his smile on his face as he comes down is at both at the same time both welcoming yet has a sinister undertone to it as well. His teeth are very small in his rather long face. And he has a couple of slightly pointy teeth as well, as if they've been filed to points. The two bodyguards either side of him are muscle mountains of men. They are like real heavy thugs. Each one of them carries a staff in one hand. This staff is, like a walking stick size, but inside of it there is this gem. And this gem is cut. It's cut into the shape of a leaf. and on Lepidus's body, as he's wearing these quite fine robes, but you actually notice that he's wearing some amount of armor as well. There is also this leaf symbol around his neck, which looks like it might have been tattooed onto him. He is quite an imposing figure as he enters into the chamber, and he definitely commands the room, and immediately all of the guards, including the captain, who you've been led to believe is something of a has a reputation here. He immediately kind of like stiffens and stands upright as Lepidus walks into the chamber. He bids bids you come closer towards him with one single finger, one movement of the finger, just come. And as you guys step towards him, he smiles. He smiles at Balbus. Balbus, the new consul of Rome. It is a pleasure to meet with you. I am, of course, Lepidus.
Lepidus, I've heard many great things about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Oh, please, you flatter me. You flatter me, Balbus, but flattery will get you nowhere. And who is this charming individual by your side? Looks to Aquila.
It's an absolute pleasure to see you, sir.
Well, it speaks too. He's got this leering kind of lechery about him. It's just very uncomfortable.
He's going to return the very thin smile that first guard had. She's wearing that right now.
Yeah. And Lucius, I have heard of this man here, the albino of Rome.
Your reputation also precedes you, though I can't say I can proclaim to have quite the influence you do, having provided us with so much, such welcome, despite the fact we didn't announce our travel.
Oh, I'm afraid I've been rather busy, you see. Apologies for the wait. Oh, what have we here? And thank you, Shauna, for the donation. I won't read that out, so I won't give any spoilers, Lapani. But he says, he looks towards Monban and says, Roman or a Roman in Egyptian's clothing. And you sense your disguise, your magical visage, just kind of like weeping away, like weeping blood.
Monban immediately drops it. In fact, he was waiting to see if he saw through it, knowing him being a magician, and just say, Monban, at your service. You must understand, traveling within your lands in my undisguised state could become problematic. So I did not want to raise any alarms. Not meant to deceive you, Lepidus, though.
No, the thought that you could deceive me is, of course, delightful. But I sense that you have come here on business now. You are the senator's lapdogs come to speak with me about taking control of Rome, giving you bread. Something along those lines. Well, let me make things very simple for you. I will help if Rome will help. I have nothing but the goodwill of Rome at heart, of course, as a Roman myself, although one cast out for now, of course. So, what offers do you come? I will hear them, and then I will make a decision. And then you will leave, little lapdogs, and you will return. Woof, 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 back to Rome. Balbus, speak now.
Well, I don't much appreciate being called a dog, man.
I don't appreciate being visited by dogs.
Well, we have much to discuss. There is, as you know, strife in Rome. We lack bread. The people go hungry and they grow unsettled. Without it, revolt will surely come. And your lands are ones that contain great sources of food for the Empire. We'd appreciate your aid greatly.
So, you are offering me that I help you. That's a rather an enviable offer. Anything else, Balbus? Why don't we hand over to the people who really know what's going on here? Lucius, speak now.
Lucius gives a polite nod and says, I'm sure it hasn't escaped your attention that Mark Antony is mobilizing forces.
He nods.
He plans to take Rome for himself, so we are informed, and we believe that Octavian will counter this with as many forces as he can possibly muster. You find yourself with an ally on your doorstep and an enemy on your doorstep. The enemy is seeping away like water in these fine deserts. Soon, most of his forces will dry out. And if he plans to lead the forces himself, he robs them of the leadership that has gained them such a reputation. A leadership that has, well, toppled entire towns and civilizations before he need even raise a weapon against them. Many people simply flee Mark Antony if he rides with his forces. But if he were to leave these lands, if he were to sail north and try to claim Italia for himself, take Rome, that would leave his forces here weakened. And you share a border with those forces. What we're looking at is an opportunity for you to sweep out his foothold here on your lands. Claim more of them for yourself, claim a greater leverage over Rome, more influence, control more of the food supply, and at the same time you seek to, well, play the smart man. Why fight Mark Antony when Octavian can fight him for you? The boy is enthusiastic. The boy has a reputation. He has a name to live up to. We all know here of how Caesar himself marched forces into Rome. You might see it as a challenge, something to live up to march forces into Rome himself, to defend it against Mark Antony. You let them squabble over each other and then destroy the weaker opponent once it is finished with the feud, and claim Italia for yourself. You'd be received as a hero, which is something that your reputation hardly needs, given the fact that it is still rumored that you are the chosen of the gods. All we ask is reassurance that you still hold their favor, and reassurance that you will help people like Monban here in maintaining Egypt's relationship with Rome. We want the food sources to continue. We are looking at a stronger allegiance for all.
He waits, thinking, this is, of course, interesting. Very interesting. What if I were to tell you some news of Rome, what your friend the consul has been up to in your time away?
I have a question. While this has been going on, you mentioned leaves.
Yes.
Does it look anything like Aquila's leaf?
I mean, what's in a leaf?
I mean,
there are many kinds of leaves.
I'm afraid
They're like snowflakes.
it's more of a maple, really, Len. They look similar.
Nothing says the Sahara like the maple leaf.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it definitely looks similar in origin. Not to say that they are, definitely like the same or anything like that,
Like
but
culturally similar as opposed to specifically made by the same.
If you squinted, it could be, a similar looking leaf.
News of Rome.
Yeah, he said news of Rome. Whilst I was under the impression, Bulbous, that any decisions that the consul makes has to be approved by you too. The both of you have an equal stake after all. You must trust Tullius with everything that you own.
I do trust Tullius. Why?
Lucius
What
is
news do you
gonna-
have?
Oh, well, it's just that a few legions have been gathered by Tullius. Of course, as is his right, as long as you approved. Of course, 3 legions of levies in Italia, all of which have marched on Octavian. The Senate has struck out, it seems, rather unfavorably, of course. Luckily for you, however, Antony is also moving westwards.
You talk like this is news to me. I was aware of Tullius's actions.
Really? Well, maybe that is so. Maybe
As
that's
you said, he could not do it without my approval as well.
Of course. And you were there at the Senate when that decision was made. Well, the legions, you'll be unfavorable in your response when you hear this, I'm afraid. The legions have defected to Octavian. All 3. You've just given them more troops. So, I'm neither pleased about that myself, but I do appreciate a bit of irony when I see it. Luckily, Dalmatia is threatened by Mark Antony. Troops are amassing at Macedonia. It looks like he'll make his way westwards there, rather than crossing to Brundisium as you feared. I'm supposing you know all of this, of course, Balbus, because Tullius runs everything by you. You trust him with your life, after all.
As I said, we have been, or as you know, we have been on a ship for weeks. Tullius sent word of his plans before we left. Any news of what Antony has been doing is news to me.
I see. Well, we find ourselves in an interesting position. I do control much of the food supplies in Cyrene, and Egyptus will be easy to crumble. Perhaps I should take them, as you suggest. Perhaps I should just take them anyway and allow you all to squabble over Rome. What makes you think that I even want it?
You said yourself you're a Roman. That you do care for the city. And the goddess as well.
He nods. There are many gods and goddesses. You cannot please all of them, Albus. Perhaps I shall just take these lands and, well, maybe I'll take a trip through Mauritania as well. Hispania while it's weak. Who says I need an ally in Rome?
An ally in Rome provides you with a base of operations on a different continent. It gives you a solid fortification that you can stretch out from. It gives you somewhere from which to launch any expeditions or conquests. And Rome has a reputation that is to be considered. There is also the fact that you mentioned these places, Hispania, Gallia. Marching on them is much easier if you do not march off of ships, if you march over land. And Italia itself is of slightly more forgiving climes. As much food as you may grow here, there are things that you cannot source in these lands, not without directly intervening with your power which, well, can be put to other, far more beneficial uses. You're not a farmer, after all. You're a tactician. a brilliant mind, a wondrous manipulator of both people and divine magics. So why spend your days trying to achieve something which Italia can give you?
This is interesting. I have, of course, already considered most of the options before your coming, and I had already made the decision that I would send you bread, and that I would take Cyrene and Egyptus. Now that Mark Antony is marshalling, there seems no other option. A stake I must make, and a stake I will. You can return to your master Tullius and inform him of our newfound alliance.
Lepidus, your reputation is one that is well known to many people. And many people, many foolish people, might bet against you in this upcoming struggle. But I'm not a fool. All I ask is you don't treat me as one. We have an understanding with Tullius. But Tullius is not the gods. And the gods are all who command me. Tullius is an opportunist. And Tullius is also a small man who wishes great power upon himself. He wishes the Senate were something they simply are not, and that is rulers. They are looking for a puppet. I myself find myself more favorable towards somebody who wields direct influence of the gods, who understands things on a larger scale, who doesn't think in such petty monetary values and thinks more globally. If you understand what I mean.
He nods. Of course I do. Yes. Money has very little value. It's only what you can take with you that really matters. The favor of the gods, of course. Aquila, you'd know all about that.
Why, yes. Of course.
Alice looks offended that he would think of her in favor of the gods rather than him.
He says, of course, the gods leave their mark on most of us. And he, motions towards the leaf. Some of us don't have as much time as others to make their mark on the world.
He motions towards what leaf?
The leaf on his tattooed leaf, sorry, I should mention.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's got tattooed leaves, and his two bodyguards have leaves on their staffs. And they are not entirely dissimilar to a giant fucking leaf that keeps dropping dead bodies in our rooms.
I'm going to ask, you point to this leaf. I know you are favored by the gods. I'm not familiar with that symbol of them. What is it?
This is a mark, boy. The mark that I bear. For with the gifts of the gods in the favor of some comes the ire of others, namely Apollo. There are some who do not wish to see me gain such strength, some even within my own ranks, I fear. No doubt they have made their presence felt.
You know of whom we speak. I've witnessed their work firsthand prior to this situation we find ourselves in today. They have phenomenal influence over matter and manipulating it to their whims. They can move unseen, unheard, and take dead weight with them. as it were. How close are you to unraveling where they are based and what it is that they truly desire? I'm sure someone of your influence can understand that Balbus's rise to power is nothing if not unprecedented, and they claim to have influenced it in quite a considerable fashion. So, we come to you knowing that you are one of the most powerful individuals to step foot on this plane of existence, to ask you who could wield such a power.
He takes like a long kind of breath, I suppose, and he touches the leaf almost subconsciously, and he says, "Well, I'm afraid that I'm not entirely sure if they are based in any real place we can understand, but the Mandate of Abadan is a name that I've heard many a time."
Can I roll something to...
Yeah.
Is there any chance?
Abadan, Abbadon.
Yeah.
Abaddon.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of like 4 different things that could relate to from 4 different canons, and all of them are shit. Like, terrible, world-ending.
Real bad.
Like, I can't think of a single way that goes well for us.
You could roll me like a learning on this. You can all roll.
Any advantage, disadvantage?
Nice. I'll give you a flat
Anyone?
roll on this.
Anyone have a nat 20 still kicking around?
Yeah, all right. I think.
Delight.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I got a
Louise
31.
does.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
damn.
I do.
Oh, no, sorry. That's 19. That was my old roll. I got a 19.
I'll
Don't
use
use that
mine.
All right, fantastic.
I will still see what I...
Okay. So this is what Aquila knows. Abadan would be a name or a word that you are familiar with, associating with the concept of death, concept of like a ferryman from like Greek mythos, and along with the god Apollo. You might have read about this or heard about this in like an ancient book or an ancient text. The Mandate of Abadan, you're not sure exactly what that would mean. Thank the Mad King for the donation. I'll read this out here in just a second.
You die.
Straight up die. So bad. That's where you get, even on the nat 20. The information about this mandate is something that you just wouldn't know. But that's certainly what you get from that. And when he says the name, the like a little shiver runs down Aquila's neck. It's almost as if it's a word which shouldn't be uttered. Something, it has power to that word, you feel.
Power over Aquila.
Just straight up power, like saying it. It has a weight to it.
So, sort of out of character, just making sure I'm understanding what he's saying is that he's not affiliated with them, but they actually are working against him as well. Is that kind of what you were?
He seems to be under the impression that they have marked him maybe for death, and that he isn't actually working for them, rather more likely against them, but there is some kind of connection between the two. He said not all of us are lucky enough to have long lives with which to leave our marks on the world, which would suggest that when he's pointing to the leaf, that this is the equivalent of like the black spot from pirate mythology, or the Grim Reaper.
He's somehow holding it at bay or something,
right, yeah,
or that he's been marked for death by this group.
And from what you understood from what he said, when you please one god, you might gain the ire of another. So if he's been working for another god, then maybe Apollo has looked unfavorably upon him.
Okay. In that case, Aquila will ask, what is it that makes somebody chosen by the mark?
Well, you have to be someone important, of course. An influencer in this game. Most likely one at odds with whatever the Mandate of Abadan wants or is. From what I understand, they do not want me to live. So perhaps they have been sent by some other group. Or person. Either way, I do not have much longer left. I am holding them for now, it seems, but fear not, with me in power, it won't be long before the Senate can take control again. So, it works for both of us.
With regards to recent events, you heard of the prescription, sorry.
He knows.
Yeah. You are aware that Cicero was one of the people who made the list.
He nods again.
His death was a violent one. It was messy, badly orchestrated, but came at our hands. He sunk to the bottom of the ocean. And his body appeared as a warning. A warning that we should not be speaking of his forces mobilizing. It speaks to me of Mark Antony's hand in this. But I doubt that Mark Antony himself specifically would use such tactics. He's a military-minded man. He's someone who fights out in the open.
Well,
Painful to see.
you
Most
know,
of the time.
that is interesting, because one other possibility that my seers here, he motions to his bodyguards, have suggested that it might not be Apollo. There are other gods of death in this world, and he looks at Monban, and Mark Antony has a few powerful friends in which keep his bed warm.
If we were unable to protect ourselves against them, maybe it is because we are looking for the wrong divine protection. Maybe it is not our gods that are the ones influencing this. Which leads me to wonder if you were to march directly upon his holdings in Egyptus, where would that leave this power struggle? They would probably go on the offensive directly towards you. How would you protect against such forces?
At this point, as he's going to answer you, Aquila, you feel your leaf is beginning to almost burn in your pocket, wherever you're holding it. It's getting really, really hot. He says, I'm not quite sure that, of course, if they came back, I'd assumed Octavian and Antony would keep each other busy for some time, but this possibility is worrying. Perhaps it is a trap.
Lepidus, if I may. A quick question.
He nods.
Who would be your knowledge of many things, known and unknown? Who benefits most from war between Octavian, Lepidus, and Antony? Who is a fourth party involved? Maybe from the east, perhaps some of the growing powers there, looking not to assist any of the three of you of the Triumvirate, but to make the entirety of the Empire ripe for the picking.
There is one, I suppose, I alluded to previously. The one, like a butterfly, one who would stand to gain all. With Egypt's rise, all of these powers of Rome fighting off against one another, what is one power who would still rise, an old power? Keeps Antony's bed warm. They call her Cleopatra. And it's at this point, Aquila, that as your leaf is getting incredibly burning hot, you see the captain of the guard, this strong, heavy dude with the spear, just kind of look rigidly upright and move in an almost jerking fashion, and him and his 10 troops launch themselves towards the group of you. And it's time to roll some initiative.
Motherfucker, I've been like,
Oh, we have not done that in a while.
You started off, and I was just like, say the name, just say the name. It's gonna trigger something. Oh god, oh fuck.
I was like, I need to get out, need to get out. Didn't get out.
Didn't do it. Also made a Mikey with a donation, £6. Cap, I want to play a game. First person to take damage in combat calls high or low and rolls a d2. If they get it right, they get 2 crits. If they get it wrong, they get 2 botches. Am I not merciful? Thank you, Mad King. Appreciate it.
Yikes.
Right.
I assume no advantage or disadvantage or what on the initiative?
No, straight up normal. Going to have just doing that. Okay. Speedy, what did you roll? What did Balbus get?
18.
Okay, 18. Fantastic. 12 from Lucius. Okay, Aquila. Yourself?
Mine's not working. Can
Oh.
someone roll for me?
Sure.
Everything's frozen.
What did Monban get?
22.
Nice.
Thank you.
22. Lepidus is going after that.
15.
Nice. Okay.
For Aquila.
15 for Aquila. Fantastic. So, our turn order for this combat. And sorry, no, it's been a little bit slow this session in terms of lots of politicking, but hey, we're in it now. So the turn order is Monban going first on a 22. Lepidus is going next on a 21. The guards and the captain of the guard, his name is Galusa, are going on a 20. Balbus on an 18, Aquila on a 15, and Lucius on a 12. So this is round uno. So Monban, you get the first move. There are 10 guards moving towards you, including Galusa, who look like they are dead set on killing you. They're moving in like a almost jerking fashion, in that their limbs don't appear to be entirely themselves. And as you look closely at their eyes, there are no pupils in their eyeballs right now. It's just all white, almost as if they're wearing like contact lenses, and it's quite worrying as they kind of stumble towards you. But you still see that they have they still have that kind of accuracy and strength to them that they had previously as well.
Ooh, I didn't roll for Titus.
Oh, good idea.
That would help.
Good. Titus. Go for it.
Damn.
Titus, baby. Okay, yeah, Titus goes first. Scratch that.
Titus will just pull. Right, Titus is literally going to, because this is sort of like a conversation that Lucius has had with Titus. He will pull him, like Lucius, over to Aquila, and stand next to Aquila and draw his weapon, making Aquila sort of obviously aware that there is combat incoming, and he will hold to engage them as they come forth.
Fantastic. Okay, so no, like, so kind of waiting for them to come. That makes sense.
Yeah,
All right.
he's gonna hold his
ground. Fantastic. Monban then.
Monban is going to try to, seeing that they're being controlled, he's going to try to dominate person to basically interfere with that control. I figure the best way is through if my dominate can beat whatever's dominating them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's not really a dispel magic like in this world.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
I'm voting that dominate versus dominate because that kind of seems what's going on.
So it's almost like it's almost like hacking a computer or something like that. Something has got, like a program's got control of them, and you're trying to bust through and take control back. So you can roll me your dominates here, and we'll see what you get.
Okay, so no.
I'm gonna give you disadvantage 2 on this. It's a very difficult control to break.
Okay, that's gonna suck.
You never know. You could roll a 90.
I still got a 19, even
not
with
bad.
Yeah,
the
damn.
disadvantage. So, by the power of Ra, and he just
Nice. So you
tries
kind of
basically
like
blind him through.
yeah, fantastic. So is that like a much more kind of visual display of power from Monban? Because we've previously seen him, with his hands and muttering under his breath doing Jedi stuff.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely, because he knows this is bad shit. So
Right.
yeah, no, he kind of does. He kind of opens up and does the by the power of Ra, and lets it out, and basically you see sort of beams of light come out of his eyes, almost like fiber optic, like you were saying, reprogram the computer right into his eyes to break the domination on him.
Nice.
If a 19 did it.
Yep. So you see the, you look at Galusa and his guards as they're lurching towards you. And as you kind of you cast out this power on the group of them, you feel this searingly cold feeling, which is growing on your hands where your magic is visualizing, almost like it's being subject to frostbite. It doesn't have any in-game mechanic, but it certainly just really fucking hurts as it's happening.
Yeah.
It's like fighting against a titanic force, pushing against the elements themselves. But you managed to break through on one of these guys rather than the entire group of them, as you're hoping to have done. And you look at Galusa as you've kind of affected him, and he just looks wide awake again, and the pupils to his eyes, the lights turn back on. And the first thing that Galusa does is he turns and he slits the throat of the man next to him with a dagger that he gets out of his side. No hesitation whatsoever in killing one of his former comrades here, and he's lights back on in the action. Doesn't even have time to thank you or realize really what's even happened, but he stabs one of the guys next to him, running through his throat.
With that description you gave me, can I use my Divine Insight perk and basically go, Ra's light, enlighten me. Who is behind this? Because their power touched the power that I was wielding to figure out which god is wielded. It has the power of what god are they wielding against me?
Yeah.
I can. That's it's the one per session.
Nice.
To give me otherworldly insight.
Fantastic. Also, thank you to the Slayer's Take and Personal Conflict of following you guys, both gentlemen and scholars. Close to a viewer decision, actually, guys. So, yeah, you kind of call upon the power of Ra, and you just hear one word booming out, which all of you hear, and that is Abadan. As this room just kind of goes dark with the power of Ra's energy entering the room for just a split second, and with that is Monban's turn. Anything else you want to do, Monban?
No, that taps me out for the
So Lepidus is going to go as well, so he takes his turn on a 21. Lepidus, you see, reaches to the sign, the kind of leaf on his chest, and he just begins to chant and to pray. It doesn't have any immediate effect currently, but he is well within his zone right now. He closes his eyes. You can see the concentration as he goes to mutter under his breath and begin to chant, and then begin to chant louder as well. So we're gonna see some attacks. Galusa technically took his turn, so it's just the kind of guards that are fighting against you right now, and they do have some pretty nasty tricks up their sleeves as well. First person that you come into contact to is going to be Titus, we'll say, and they're currently, Galusa's not in any action, so And you killed one of them. So there are 8 of them who are coming at you. Titus is going to take an attack roll. And that attack roll is going to be a... Oh wait, no, I didn't. I need to get the highest 2. I need to take maths away from that. Minus 8. It's still 31.
Does he get his attack? Because he's literally prepping to attack them.
Yeah, so he can like have his readied action, right? So as he like make base contact, Titus can swing.
Cool. In which case, he's standing next to Aquila, which is what he needed to do because he's now within melee range. They're now within melee range of an ally, which means he gets his lethal damage.
Nice.
Which gives him a shit ton of advantages on this.
That's good.
So he's gonna swing out with, guess sort of like it's a. Give me sort of like a smallish weapon, not like
a gladius or something like that.
Yeah, gladius, something suitably fitting like that. And he's gonna swipe out. So I'll make the attack, and let me just check how many advantages he gets at this level.
We gotta get Titus some good rolls. Last time he tried to shoot someone with 10 advantage or something, he still missed it somehow. yeah,
I know. It was that was the curse of Cicero.
All right.
we will never speak of the curse of Cicero again. So it's 4 times advantage. I'll take that for $1.
All right.
So he goes for a 32.
Nice. Yeah, so a 32, and this is against his guard?
Yeah, it'll be agility versus guard, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to call this one the first one that's on Titus. So with a 32, Titus, just, he goes in for the Roman technique, where he just kind of like thrusts forwards and stabs you in the gut, as this guy kind of opens himself to the attack. You see him not dead, but skewered upon the sword that Titus has, as Titus kind of like thrusts it back out again with one slick motion. And it's at that point we're going to say that as Titus takes his action there to get the thrust and kind of impaled upon his sword, the guy's going to fight back with the 31 to Titus's guard. So most likely, I mean, does that deal a fair amount of damage to Titus?
That'll be. Let me just check. It is.
Thinking about how to describe the wound here on it, poor fella. Yeah, no, let's fight. I mean, there is some. This is the exploding dice aspect. Really gets some quite crazy in combat. You can roll way more than just a 20. I've seen 60s.
Hold on. So wait, 20. Yeah, it's a 20. So that's 30. That's 11 damage.
Nice.
Just saying, Titus did an additional 15 lethal damage on top of that because that's the lethal strike.
Okay. So what we'll say is, Titus lands a blow. The last thing this guy does before he dies is just like get one thrust in, but by doing so, it thrusts himself further onto Titus's sword, and so he's, he dies on the blade there after he's.
What kind of damage does Titus take? What is this?
So if it gets his guard, what is Titus's guard?
20, so it's 11 damage.
Yeah.
31.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. So Titus takes 11 from that. Perfect.
Real quick, does that mean Titus has to roll on D2 and call higher?
No, that's only for players. So luckily for
Titus,
Titus,
cool. That's fine. Okay.
Luckily for Titus, he escapes that. So Lucius, let me see here. A 23 against your guard.
Oh shit!
From one of the guards, confusingly enough.
What was that, a 23?
Yes.
Yeah, that bings me slightly, a little bit.
Okay.
Guard of 12.
No, oh shit! So you take a total of 11 from that.
Yep.
Fuck. Nice.
I have a bodyguard for a reason.
You can roll me a D2.
Okay. I'm a cry.
One is
so
good.
Pick high or low.
So roll D2. If they get it right, they get 2 crits. If they get it wrong, they get 2 botches. Am I not merciful? I don't know which one is right and wrong.
Okay, so I have to guess and then roll it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I guess 1.
Okay. Oh!
I am a dead man. I am the
Two
most
botches
dead man.
incoming. Wow. Okay. This one. Two. So the next guy is going to launch himself into Monban for a 24.
Yeah, guard is 15.
Nice. Ouch. So you take a 9 from this guy. The rest, one of them is going to go towards Balbus, of course.
Of course.
36.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
I'm
Against the guard of 11.
I'm exploding a bit. I'm exploding a bit. Fuck me.
Is it Cleopatra? Is it triggered?
So,
Me too. It's Cleopatra just triggered me, man. I'm trying to roll up 70 here. 70 plus.
against
my
the guard of 11, that means I take 25 damage.
25, yeah. These
Guess
guys.
how many hit points I had?
26. Oh, buddy. Yeah, we need to view a decision here, guys. These ones are tough. Shauna donates £10. Fuck me, you guys are screwed. £10. A white my okay, perfect. I'll bring this in here in just a second. Thanks so much, Shauna. Okay, so
It's been fun, guys. It's been fun.
it's been good. It's been real. So the last one is going to try and fight Aquila. The rest seem to be going towards our good friend Lepidus here. And Lepidus is, of course, it seems to be their kind of main intent to kill him. A 25 Aquila versus your guard.
Yes, that will definitely hit my 15.
Yeah.
God.
Damn, these guys are good. Okay, fantastic. So, as this happens, the rest of them rush towards our good friend Lepidus. This guy is on Lucius. Let me just make a note of which one this is. Well, this guy is on Balbus, and this one is on Aquila. Perfect. So the other three rush in towards Lepidus to try and murder him. And at the same time, you guys see one of the giant, well, I said giant, I mean, it's life-size, probably just slightly larger than life-size statues of a past Roman king or something like that. Unlikely to be here, really, but who knows? Like a statue of a famous Roman, which is in the area that Lepidus has put down. You see it just, like, crack, like, it's one of its limbs move forwards, like in like the Mummy or something like that, when it's like a statue comes alive, and with a kind of yearning crack and a creak, this creature moves forwards, and as Monban is looking at it, this clearly happens as soon as Abadan is said, and it's lurching towards the group of you as well. It has a marble sword in one hand. Does not look friendly. It looks a bit like one of those chess pieces from Harry Potter. Yeah, that's what I'm imagining here. So Bulbous, it is your turn. You see your, I say your friend, Lepidus is kind of like chanting as these three guys are coming in to swipe at him, and he's taking these attacks.
Phone
Oh,
call. No, I'm going
Phone a
to.
friend.
Yeah. Balbus is going to take out his staff, and he's going to wave it at the people in front of him, and there's suddenly, well, let's see how it rolls before I say anything. All right, 13.
nice.
He's attempting to make everyone drunk.
A 13 versus toughness is not enough to make everyone drunk.
All right. I get a bit buzzed, but
That beats my toughness. Was I targeted by that?
it's
5 feet
everyone in a
cone.
5 foot cone.
So you could point
Imagine
it-
we're like standing next to each other. So
You can point this at the bad guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Mad King Mercury, £12 donation. The white marble, an aspect of Abadan, trademark, is disturbed by the presence of another god, Monban. It botches its first 4 attacks against a player. Thank you. Alright, so Marble Guy is being stopped by the power of Ra, I suppose, and Monban's own powers. Thank you, my friend. So, got a donation, the battle of the Donorinos between Shauna and Mad King there. Jesus. Perfect. So, it's lurching towards you, doesn't get its turn. Balbus, you fail in your attempt. Aquila, it's your turn.
Aquila, like Titus, is also going to try a little bit of the old lethal strike action. She'll get her dagger that she's got like strapped to her in a calf and pull that out. And it's pretty clear that she's used this before to hurt / maybe possibly kill someone.
Right.
Nobody quite knows, where or when or how. But that's her life. That's her story.
These are my decisions.
Don't judge me. I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need.
Yeah, I don't need no alive husband.
Yeah.
Not anymore, you don't. Alright. And this is against yeah, okay, fantastic.
The guy that's attacking me.
Yeah, so the guy that's in front of you, as you, alright, I'll be cruel. Underdog wants to give his wild magic search. Someone says I can choose. Aquila, you're going to roll a d10,000 here.
Great.
The blade bites into this guy's side, and he kind of grits his teeth as you stab him. It's not a killing blow, but it definitely looks like it hurts.
A D1000 to say.
D10k, D10,000. Look at this wild magic search table here.
Please be, everybody that's bad dies and you win.
And you win. 7749, right? Or 7449?
7449.
Cool. Target skin glows pale green in the moonlight. Alright, so we're going to say that this is the effect of being closeless avatar of Abadan and Doom. And this is making, much like the mortified skin on the dead people, it's making your skin seem to glow that pale, pallid green as well. But you attack. Is there anything else that you'd like to be doing, Aquila?
Can I put up an aura, or is that too much?
It takes you an action, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
Then, no, unfortunately not this time.
No. Okay, in that case, she'll just try and move further back away from the action.
Okay, cool. That takes it to Lucius's turn.
Cool. Lucius is going to he's going to cast Immobile on the attackers to sort of like basically give his allies some free crits, and he will crit fail. Yay!
You try and do something, but there's just no power being summoned. It's almost as if all the power in the room is going towards this marble statue creature, and it's not having any real effect, unfortunately.
So I've just been really severely wounded.
That's breaking concentration, difficult to summon magic in that case. It's the top of round 2, and it's Titus's turn. Titus has taken a hit, but he has slain one of the guards before him. Presumably he's close to Lucius.
Yeah, he's supposed to be blocking. He was supposed to be in between Lucius, but I mean, there's a limitation when you're massed. Sort of.
When 10 guys come into you, it's,
yeah, exactly. There's not a lot you can do, but he can go and go for a slicey slice against a guy who just slicey diced.
Slicey dice, that makes sense.
So he will go again for same as before, try and slay this guy with Gladius.
Okay.
This will be a.
I feel like you're good.
31.
31, hell yeah. So you slice into the guy, and is that with lethal damage as well on top of that?
Yeah, no, 15 on top of that.
15 on top of that, yeah.
I brought him one reason, Will, and that was to.
That makes sense.
Do...
So you cut. No, I say you. Titus just slashes the throat very quickly of this guy as his blood goes onto the marble flooring. Fantastic. The statue's going to get a turn. Statue is going to come straight towards him on ban with a dum 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 cracking in towards him. It's going to attack twice, but both of these are going to be natural ones thanks to Mad King Midas. And so as it swipes in towards you on ban, the power of your god defends you. I don't know. Do you want to visualize that in some way? Is it like a field which appears around him?
So yeah, no, he
Do a Gandalf Balrog thing.
Monban, raises up his hands, and as this sword comes crashing down, it's just like this golden disc of Egyptian in the shape of an Egyptian hieroglyph forms over his head, and just it hits upon it twice, and Monban it keeps on chanting, by the power of Ra, you shall not
pass.
Hit me. Oh, sorry. Just strike me down. There you go. So not strike me down. Sorry, I was working on another speech for my attack.
If you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you could possibly. Cool. So statues use 2 of his crit fails there. Monban, it's actually your turn.
So yeah. So after the two strikes come in, Monban continues his chant. Amun, I invoke you. Come as is your destiny and join with Ra and smite this aberration. And reaches out, since the statue's right there, and touches with him and casts a transmutation from stone to sand.
Nice.
As the god of wind and sun join, as they have in Egyptian history, to be Amun-Ra and attack this. Any advantage on this? Actually, the reality is, I believe for this, he has to defend, which he would fault on, correct?
That's true, yeah. So yeah, he has to defend against you. You're right. He'd have to make a roll. So he crits fails on his 3rd one there. So a couple of things happen. And thank you to Shauna for the donation. I've got that through. Don't you worry. So Monban, as you dustify this thing, you summon this winds around you in the sun, and you almost melt it as the chips come off of it, you see that the creature just begins to kind of tumble into dust, and you then see, coming from the dust, if you think you've destroyed it, this serpent just snakes out towards you. And this is from Shauna. The great serpent Apep denies Ra. A mystical giant serpent attacks. This is just a monster, of course, not a boss creature. So you're horrible nerfed, yeah. So that is going to get an attack here in a second, seeing as the statue's gone down. So Monban. Let's make this like a reaction attack almost.
Okay.
You take a 25 from the serpent.
Oof, gives my 15 guard.
Yeah, fuck. Rolled pretty damn well. Exploded on a d6 more than twice.
And yeah, I don't think I don't have anything to do, against it.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I'm still up, but that did not feel good.
All right.
So yeah, I guess while he's there and he's concentrating on channeling Amun-Ra, this serpent comes in from underneath and gets under the shield and just nails him.
Fantastic. Lepidus is his turn. He's continuing to take these crippling attacks, but Galusa is coming in, and he runs through 2 of the guards that are attacking Lepidus. Almost simultaneously, Galusa comes in with his... he's thrown down his spear, and he's just wielding this small kind of saber-type sword at the moment. And he cuts down 2 of them, but Lepidus is still... He's chanting louder and louder, and his chants are getting quite resonant and vocal at this point. The guards who are remaining are still going to get to take an attack. Bulbous, my friend Bulbous, a 25.
All right, so that would kill me usually, except I have this wonderful perk of Divine Agent. So once per game session, I'm subject to a finishing blow. Oh wait, no, that's while my hit points are below 1. They're not yet. Never mind. So yeah, I'm just down.
Okay. So we see our friend Balbus just getting cut down by one of these guys. Aquila. 37. My explosions are unreal.
Oh my god.
Aquila will try to like, is it like understood that the leaf that I have is like whatever it is, that's causing these people to attack us?
You're not sure? You think that they might be connected, though, yes. Like a dean for following, a gentleman and a scholar. You definitely feel like this is connected somehow. It's still glowing, like burning red hot. Still going?
She will like grab hold of it and like try to, like what she did before on the boat, and she found out she'll try to channel it and try to think of the voice and channel into the voice and see what happens. She's running out of options.
Okay, so she's still going though. She's all right. Okay, Bulbous, your turn.
I'm on the ground.
Good job. That's a good turn for you. Aquila, it's your turn. So, Louise, what's Aquila doing at this point? Oh,
Oops,
she
we lost her.
disconnected.
She's just
She's down, out.
Oh, she's rip and pepperonis. All right, I'll reset cameras.
I mean, if I had disconnected, that would have been much more convenient. Actually, I really have to go right now, which is, I realize, a terrible time.
No, rip.
So
right.
I'll just be dead on the ground. I don't know how this episode's gonna end, but good luck. I'm sorry.
We'll see you in a minute. Oh, see you next session.
I'll try and stay on the call so you don't have to worry about faces moving.
All right, cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. So it's now just Lucius.
It's only a couple of you guys.
Hey, Monban is still in the fight.
Monban's still going.
Monban and Titus, and that's it. Oh boy.
Oh man. All right. So it would have been Aquila's turn. So Lucius, it's your turn.
Fuck me. Okay. And so it's actually Lucius's turn. Lucius, for fuck's sake, is going to try and just check. That won't actually work because of the ridiculous way it works. So he will try, and I guess
Oh, I don't need that one.
he will try and bolster. He's going to try and bolster Lepidus because I mean, in his frame of mind, Lepidus is our best shot right now.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
reasonable.
Yeah, he will cast bolster, and he will crit fail. Yeah.
Oh
Game over, guys.
man.
So it's been a wonderful campaign.
Okay. So it's round 3, and it's Titus's turn.
Titus, is there one that there?
There's one fighting Monban, there's one over Balbus, and one by Aquila.
Well, I got a snake. I have the
see a
snake, or
snake
do I
as
have
well.
a? Oh, I got a snake and a guard.
Yeah.
Oh
You've got a
shit.
snake and a guard. Is Lucius currently being threatened?
No, Titus is like toe to toe with a guy. But he's just yeah. So you're not like threatened in the sense that he's not fighting you. He's on
Okay,
your-
cool.
he's on
Well,
your
in
boy.
which case, if he's sort of like still close enough to give the advantage, so I'll use it while I can.
Yeah,
and go for the stabbings.
All right.
Keep murder hoboing. It's
Why
why
not?
I pay you. So yeah, advantage. Yeah.
Oh,
44.
damn!
Oh, shit.
Shit.
So that takes care of him.
Yeah.
Plus 15, right?
Yeah.
Plus 15 on something. Like that.
Holy moly. So you cut that guy down. We'll say it's a guy that was, like over Balbus as well after we cut him down. So there's currently a guy on Monban and a guy on Aquila. And there's one guy on Lepidus, but you guys are pretty pained right now, it's safe to say. Monban, it's your turn.
You said that the snake is a snake, right? Not like a boss?
Yeah, the snake is a snake, yeah.
So yeah, Monban is turning his channeling of Ra, I was the Amun Ra now, and looks down at the snake and says, "You will protect me from this fiend," and cast Dominate Animal, which you can do greater domination on, which puts it 100% in my control.
Nice, okay. So it's a pretty
do I
big
have an
serpent.
advantage?
Yeah, we'll give you advantage 1 on this one.
I love the fact you're just like, oh, another boss. Nerf, 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 nerf.
27 for greater domination of the animals.
That's what he does. Nice. That's...
So every action move is under my control. Unlike the Charm Bane, it is I'm in control of making it. Basically, it's mine now.
Nice.
So it attacks the guard on me.
Nice, yeah. So it's its turn next. So you kind of like dominate this creature with your 27 head. It's kind of like it lurches away from you and towards the guy next to you in a pretty cinematic moment. And deals an 18 to this guy and just kind of launches into his side, latches on with his venomous fangs just into him. And you see the guard as this fucking giant snake is all over him. It's Lepidus' turn. And finally his chantings and kind of almost like ravings at this point come to a fever pitch as he's kind of like screaming out, and you see him holding this like leaf tattoo which is on him, and you actually see the tattoo growing. You see it growing from rather than just a little kind of almost like cross symbol, a leaf by his what's this, like sternum, I guess. It just grows all down his chest as it the kind of ink almost like bleeds down as he chants louder and louder. As he finishes his like fever pitch scream, the guard fighting Monban and Aquila and the guard next to him, they all implode.
Yay!
Suddenly. And he just kind of like clenches his fist as if he was like crushing an apple, and all of the bodies, including the dead guard bodies as well, they just go and there is fleshy bits, just like a mist almost appears as he just kind of like takes it down, and you see Lepidus standing there with this huge tattoo all over himself as he's like, it's almost like the sacks of skin and flesh have just kind of like imploded in on themselves and flopped down onto the floor as wet, dead husks. And this kind of misty, blood red rain is covering you guys at this point. You've never seen any power like this. And Lepidus says, "It seems as though the Mandate of Abadan has been held back for one last day. See to your friends."
I run over to heal Balbus, who's down.
Okay. You can go ahead
Come on,
and...
Ben. Yeah, and I guess I still control the snake, because I mean, I think he's like, I don't think there's a duration on this for a major
Domination. Greater
domination. I'll read all that text before the next episode. I go over and drop a heal into my buddy.
Nice. So you can, stabilize your friend. Balbus comes back to, alive. Aquila. We have a Louise?
Maybe?
We do.
Maybe? No? Yes.
I'm not sure.
Keep on going.
Keep going. You let's bring this quick in there. Trying to fix a few cameras for here. You see Lepidus standing there right next to his guard, Galusa, who has rather unfortunately kind of almost killed his boss and his compatriots as well, and you guys almost. Lepidus says, "There is one last piece of business that I need to attend to," and he runs a dagger through the heart of Galusa. And he turns back to his guard captain, the big guy who you freed from the kind of strange... he runs him through and his body just kind of falls down onto the floor, leaving you guys there with Lepidus. So it is war.
So I got a quick question, Will. I mean, and this is by my wiki of Egyptian gods.
Yeah, sure.
So, Abaddon's not an Egyptian god, but Cleopatra was. Does that make sense to Monban that Cleopatra would be aligning herself with a non-Egyptian god?
So you sense that. I mean, due to being like a person who's involved in religion at this time, that there are many different names for gods. So, you know, you would not necessarily interpret Abadan to be a new god, because personally you would never believe that that would exist.
Right.
So it could be another, as Lepidus has suggested, another name for Apollo, or it could be another name for Ra, or it could be another name for any number of, you know, death-based gods. Most religions have
So
them.
like Anubis, so it could be like Anubis or
yeah.
something like that, which is the Egyptian god of death and stuff.
And again,
Okay.
the word Abadan might be more ancient than, you know, the Egyptian language.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Lepidus kind of stands before you, he's kind of like holding his wounds. So, about that alliance. I think this is where we'll wrap up tonight's episode, really. As you stand in Lepidus's halls, having murdered all of his guards, who have suddenly turned against both you and he, and this mandate of Abadan have launched themselves against you quite violently, and it seems as though another message has been sent today. Luckily, you guys weren't corpses turning up on someone else's doorstep, so congratulations to that. And thank you all the guys who donated today's genre and Mana King in particular.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Actually, Midas saved my ass, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of times there with the Nat ones and new creatures being thrown against them. Appreciate that, my friends. Of course, if you enjoyed today's show, then the best place to go and enjoy more Open Legend is on openlegendrpg.com. You can find a link there. And, of course, check out Faith, a new RPG on Kickstarter that we're sponsored by this week. Of course, if you haven't followed yet and you enjoyed the show, hit that follow button and join us. Sean, I know you didn't at all screw the game, don't worry, it was a lot of fun. Let's go around the cast and crew. Did we enjoy tonight's session? And of course, where can we find you guys online usually? Let's start with Louise, who's back with us.
Yes, hello, I'm
Huzzah.
back. Sorry about that. Missed the
all good.
reaction. At least we're alive, and I wasn't expecting that to come back too. That's nice. But as always, really, really enjoy it. Like, this is the best part of my week, coming in, playing to be a Roman. Absolutely love it. And it makes so much more fun as well. All these donations today made it a lot more intense and a lot more, like, possible to die. So that was very exciting to deal with.
Stakes
and
were
I'm
high.
Stakes are very high today. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to see where this can go from here. And if you do want to find me in the meanwhile, if seeing me once a week is just not enough, you can find me on Twitter at No More No Less, which is where I tweet things, and they're fun things always. So come join me over there.
Only fun things there. Fantastic.
Only fun things allowed.
Cool. Tool School, over to you.
Oh yeah, no, dude, what fun! I mean, I got to play some of my Egyptian, use my Egyptian wiki that I always have up during this, and Mom Bang got to play some fun spells, because Lord knows he doesn't have like knives or a sword or other than ceremonial type. So
Right.
it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and it's interesting to sort of contemplate now this whole reveal that it's Cleopatra, because now suddenly Mon Ban is in a whole different where he fits into this, because they tried to kill him too, and he's never cool with that.
Nah, that ain't cool.
That ain't cool. Don't tase me, bro. Don't statue me, bro. But anyway, yeah, you can see me here on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I DM a campaign called The Vice on noon till 4 p.m. on Eastern time on my channel, which is in the chat. Would love to see you guys come by. We run our station 100% for charity, and don't feel as though you have to donate, but if you want to come by and even just click on the links of whatever our charity of the month is to educate yourself about some of the great charities that our players and also our chat have suggested for us, that's wonderful too. And hope to see you guys there. And yay, this Imperator is just amazing. So that's all I have to say about that. Thanks, bro.
Fantastic. No worries. Making it great. Josh, yourself.
Yeah, it was a many-layered episode. We had, some creativity on the journey over, and then we sort of had politics there, and then big politics over here and big negotiation, and then a fight. So, you get a bit of everything, and I like it. It's like Napoleon, what's that, ice cream? with all the free flavors. That's what I'm sort of thinking. In my
I don't
head.
know what that is. Napoleon.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no one
Neapolitan.
ever eats the vanilla and the strawberry. They just eat all the chocolate out.
Oh, Neapolitan is what.
Yeah,
you mean.
Neapolitan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Napoleon.
Napoleon ice cream.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an absolute blast. But I will be back. I won't be around this Thursday, unfortunately, but I will be around next Thursday, and I will be around next Monday and Tuesday as well. And yeah, things are good. Things are awesome in Imperator, but things are also awesome in Numenera. Everything's really heating up. So we've got a lot of amazing games, and I'm excited to be part of them. And fuck you, chat. I love it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. If we leave it alone too long, it invades Russia. That ice cream you got to be real careful with Napoleon ice cream. It comes with a lot of inherent flaws. But yeah,
with Russia.
Yeah,
things are uncertain.
It's not a good time. But we're going to go over and we'll see you guys, of course, tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We're starting with Into the Light at 2 p.m. EDT, followed by Storm King's Fun Day at 5 p.m. EDT. We're expected to again to be on the front page later on, so come along, say hi to new people, and help them out when they're inevitably confused by what the fuck it is that we're doing here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the shows this week. I know I certainly am. You can follow me here on all my social media. YouTube, of course, if you missed any of the episodes. Of course, follow the Twitch channel if you haven't already. Website with new articles, secret sexy projects coming soon as well. But I think that's all it for me, guys. I had a fantastic session, lots of fun. Speedy was here as well. You can follow him at Not So Speed Runs on Twitch. And of course, until next time, try not to roll too many at once, guys, because they really fuck you up when it comes to Open Legend. Good night, everybody. Bye.